Chapter 223. In the early days of winter, the first light snow fell from the sky. As soon as it landed on the ground, the roof turned into a puddle of water. The domestic animals on Zhuangzi shivered and were unwilling to leave their nests. Old Yellow Dog brought some rags and hay out of nowhere and made a bed for himself. Apart from the evergreen Uncle Pine on the mountain, there seemed to be no trace of greenery in the world. There were no sounds of frogs croaking in summer or autumn. There was also no sound of little swallows chirping. There was only mud on the ground, but there was no smell of soil. After the silkworm farmers cooked the silk, some would spin it into a ball, while others would just leave it. This year, there was no need to hand in anything to the county. The harvest was less, but the days were better. The people selling liangpi in the county were nowhere to be seen. The business of pancakes seemed to be better. The people selling tonghulu also came out early and sold from dawn to dusk. The thin pieces of tonghulu hanging on the tonghulu did not melt too much. It was much better than the white sugar. One could feel the crunchiness amidst the sweetness and sourness. The workers at the little Luoshui pier were busier than before. Many merchants wanted to earn a sum of money in the winter. While the river was not frozen yet, they worked hard to transport the goods they could receive. There were several large shelves supported by ropes and hooks at the bottom, making the docks much faster. This made the business of the restaurants and shops beside the docks go crazy. The scholars and beauties seemed to feel that there was nothing to write about in this season. Some of them hid at home and thought about what to write about in the winter snow. The only place that many scholars were still willing to stay was between the clouds and the water. Wang Wan deliberately used a phrase that attracted many people before it snowed. Who said that cicadas in winter were thin and cold, but said that the weather was cold in autumn. Others did not know where this phrase came from, nor did they know that the first phrase was that the youth did not know the taste of worry. Many scholars directly thought of these two phrases as that when the weather was cold, some poor people did not have clothes to wear. Some people even admired this kind of scenery. Scholars always liked to place their feelings in the scenery. In addition, between the clouds and the water released a new dish, which made them even more willing to come and taste it. They felt sentimental while eating. It is not the sound of cicadas in the heart. The silkworms will not stop until they die. That was how the name of the dish came about. To put it simply, there were three words: Sifangjin. Zhang Xiaobao didn't pay attention to this aspect. Wang Wan came up with the idea herself. Judging from the situation of the customers ordering this dish, it was not bad. Originally, after the silkworm cocoons were shredded, most people would not eat them. The farmers would keep them for themselves for a few days. If they could not finish them, they could only throw them away. Wang Wan specially thought of this method for them and changed Li Xiaoyou's sentence. That was how Wang Wan evaluated Li Shangyin. She said that most of his poems were filled with melancholy. For example, Jinsei was pleasant to hear, but there was always a kind of sad beauty to it. Wang Wan liked the line "Bright pearls in the vast sea have tears," while Zhang Xiaobao liked to hear Zhuang Shangxiao dream of butterflies. While they were talking, Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao, "What do you think? Didn't I spell those two sentences very well?" "It's average. It's not as good as the three female voices from the Chinese department that I've heard before. At that time I didn't know anything and was sitting on the train. They were reciting poems and said that one of the poems was very good, especially the two lines in the middle. This love can be turned into reminiscence, but there's no choice but to fall. Later you found out that it was a poem and a sentence in a poem, right?" Wang Wan asked with a smile. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. "No. Later, I thought that if the one surnamed Yan took over the body of the one surnamed Li, would she be able to write a sentence like Maoling's autumn rain and illness, and last night's west wind withered the green trees?" "Zhang Xiaobao, can't you be more polite with your words?" Wang Wan asked with a smile. "I'm serious. Do you eat the black thing in the silkworm cocoon?" Zhang Xiaobao asked seriously. "If I don't eat it, who will eat the organs? Have you seen what a silkworm cocoon looks like before?" Wang Wan asked. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "Yes. When I was young, someone gave me more than 50 kilograms of cocoons. It was a woman in her 30s. She wanted to adopt a younger sister as her daughter, but she didn't raise her. I always thought that she was the most beautiful. When I ate it, I left one behind. At the beginning of spring, it turned into a big white moth. She roasted it and gave it to me. If I had known earlier, I would have left some for roasting. As long as I said that only the brave could eat it, many men would eat it, especially when there's a beauty around. Wang Wan's face was full of regret. How could Tianhe not know? But he complained that winter was late. Guarding the charcoal with a single layer of clothing, I ask who will eat the scones. Father, it's here. Look, it's cold, but the water hasn't frozen. They are so busy that they are covered in sweat. They earn a lot of money with every trip. Father, a few days ago, I heard that the Zhang family sent many cucumber seedlings and planted them in the Yaman's backyard. They are trying to please Father. Why don't we take this opportunity to say that Zhangzhe Zhuangzi is lying? Otherwise, how can there be more this year? Then we can get someone to sneak into Zhuangzi and learn how to plant cucumbers in the winter. At the pier, Zhao Weiran, who had just spent 2 coins to buy a piece of scones with meat inside, was talking to a stout man beside him. The two of them didn't bring any attendants with them. Their clothes weren't luxurious either. They walked slowly, ignoring the snowflakes that fell from time to time. They treated it as if they were no different from ordinary people. The person who was called father by Zhao Weiran was the new county magistrate. No one knew what he was thinking, but he decided to come over and change his clothes. There were still a few days before he took office, but he came to Sanshui County. Since Zhao Weiran went back to report and then came back immediately, he didn't interact with his old friends. He only watched and listened at the pier. This time, he didn't waste his energy and told his father in detail about the situation here. The Jia County magistrates looked at his son and then at the bustling scene at the pier. He said, it's too late. A few days ago, someone submitted the recipe for planting cucumbers in the winter. Zhang Yongqing is known by many people. We can't do this or we will get into trouble. It was submitted? Is the Zhang family so upset that they are stupid? Since they know, why did they send cucumber seedlings to the Yamen? Do they think we can't afford cucumbers? Zhao Weiran didn't expect that the idea that he had been thinking about for a few days would be wasted before he could use it. He thought about the cucumbers that were sent to the Yamen and couldn't take it lying down. The Jia County magistrates thought a lot and said to his son, it was submitted. Even if we want to plant cucumbers elsewhere, we have to wait for some time before the cucumbers bear fruit. This recipe can not only plant cucumbers, but also other vegetables. But it's not easy to do it. We have to plant them together before the bees and butterflies die. The Zhang family isn't stupid. If they give up this part of the money, it will save a lot of trouble. How much can cucumbers in the winter be sold for? How much is the pier here in Shaoloshui worth? Not to mention the Tu Zhuangzi, even if it's a prince, would he dare to keep this method of planting vegetables in the winter? What will happen to the people then? The Jia County magistrates thought more than his son. Before he came, he already knew that this place wasn't good to stay. The previous county magistrate Chang had done almost all the good things, so he could only follow along. Otherwise, the people wouldn't be willing. This place was different from other places. The prince was the provincial governor and was close to the capital. If something happened, it wouldn't be able to hide it. Moreover, the 2 7th-ranked officials of the Zhang and Wang families could also submit a memorial to the higher-ups. We can't do anything rashly. We can't. As he thought about it, the Jia County magistrates started to mumble softly. Father, what I said last time can't be done either. They gave us 4,000 mu of land, but that piece of land is 6,000 mu. It's not a small crime to occupy 2,000 mu of land, right? Zhao Weiran still didn't want to give up. He felt that he had embarrassed himself in the restaurant that day. Even if it was 2 children, he still had to take the children's families into consideration. The Jia County magistrates was still as calm as ever. We need to go back and look at the documents in the Yamen. If they really occupy it, then it'll be easy. I'm just afraid that they won't occupy it. With the pier in Shaoluoshui and the taxes, they don't lack money and aren't afraid that others will find trouble with them. At this time, Zhao Weiran didn't know what to say. He took a bite of the scone in his hand and swallowed it. Suddenly he said, Father, this scone is really good. There's another one selling it in front. I'll buy one for you to try later. Yes, it's cold. The people here can still do business. It's better than starving. Otherwise, it will be difficult to pass the examination next year. County Magistrate Chang is indeed capable. The Jia County magistrates thought about things from a more holistic perspective. It would be easier for him if the local people had a better life. Jia Weiran pursed his lips. Father, it's not County Magistrate Cheng's ability. This scone has a special seasoning from Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. I don't know how they do it, but the seasoning seems to be different for every dish. I've asked someone to taste it. He can roughly taste a few, but it won't work if there are too many. Why is that? Jia Huanjin really didn't know. I found someone to smell the spices, and the person who smelled it kept sneezing. I found someone to taste the spices and name a few that were easy to taste. Before they could eat it, their mouth went numb, and they couldn't tell what the taste was. I asked someone to specially use those spices to make a dish. If they put too little, the taste would be wrong. If they put too much, they wouldn't know if the taste would be wrong. They would either have diarrhea or dry food. Jia Weiran was depressed when he talked about this. The seasoning used to make fish was definitely different from that used to make meat. The seasoning in the scone was also different. There were also special seasonings for filling and soup. He didn't know how Zhangjia came up with so many tricks. When the Jia County magistrates heard this, he felt that this was right. He pointed to a place selling Chinese crepes in front of them. Go there and buy some Chinese crepes. I heard it was delicious before I came. How is it delicious? It's just a little saltier sauce and more chopped green onions. Poor people can eat anything delicious, Jia Weiran muttered as he walked over. Isn't this Brother Jia? I haven't seen you for a few days. What have you been busy with? Jia Weiran hadn't even reached the place when a sudden voice from the side gave him a shock. Chapter 224. Jia Weiran was afraid that someone would recognize him. If Zhangzhe Zhuangzi knew that his father was here, it would be troublesome. Hearing the voice, he turned his head and saw a person wearing rough hemp clothes and pigskin boots smiling at him. Jia Weiran thought about it carefully, but he couldn't remember who this person was. From the way he was dressed, it was far from his identity. He asked curiously, "You are? Brother Jia? How come you don't remember me? I'm Alu. Did you really forget about me? Are you pretending? Are you pretending? Last year, when the 5 of us were working at Luoshui, didn't you say that you wanted to earn money elsewhere? Yangxi and I stayed there and then we came here. Why did you earn money? Your clothes look better than mine. Stop pretending. I don't care if you want money. Let's go, I'll get them all here today. Let's go to the barbecue place next to the first shop in Linshui and roast some radishes. We'll also order 2 pieces of stinky tofu and a bowl of wine. Why are you still in a daze? Don't you love stinky tofu? A piece of stinky tofu can last for half a month. Niu Wu said that he would give you good tofu, but it became stinky in the end. Yua, let's go, it's my treat. The man who called himself Ma Lu walked over and wanted to pull Jia Weiran in that direction. Jia Weiran had never heard of these random names before. They all seemed to be related to animals. When he saw this person stretch out his hand that was rubbing against something and was about to pull him, he was so scared that he took 2 steps back and opened his mouth to say, "Wait, how come I don't remember you? Tell me, what's my name? I already said that you don't need money. Why are you still asking? We weren't like this in the past. Even if you had a lot of money, we wouldn't take it. Working at this pier, we earn a lot every day. Isn't your surname Jia?" Ma Lu was a little dissatisfied and retracted his hand. "Yes, then what's my name?" Jia Weiran felt that he was suffering from hysteria. He didn't have any impression of it. Ma Lu clapped his hands. "That's right, your surname is Jia. You are Jiayi, we call you Jiayu. When you were young, you were swimming with us in the river and a tortoise bit you down there. You said it yourself that tortoise was a female. Do you remember now?" "Bah. I don't care who you are, get away from me. I don't know you, you got the wrong person." Jia was furious. When did he swim with others and get bitten by a tortoise? His eyes widened and he quickly walked to the place that sold Chinese crepes. He warily looked at the person who was standing in the same spot with a puzzled expression. "Sai, since you don't want to know who you are, I was wrong. I was wrong, I was looking for you. Prepare the carriage, prepare the carriage." Ma Lu shook his head regretfully. As he spoke, he waved his hand and 3 luxurious carriages came over. Each carriage was pulled by 4 horses. It was obvious that they weren't carriages. Jia Weiran watched as the carriage stopped beside the person who spoke to him just now. 2 people jumped down from the second carriage. It was a man and a woman. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. They bowed respectfully to that person. After that person got on the carriage, the 3 carriages left one after another. Zhao Weiran raised his hand and touched his head. He muttered, "It's not hot." "Who said it's not hot? This is a freshly made fruit pancake. Do you want it? If you don't want it, don't block the way. If you want it, pay up. You can exchange it with something. Hurry up." The seller seemed to think that Zhao Weiran was saying that his food wasn't hot, so he said unhappily. Zhao Weiran was still in a daze. He took out his money and bought the fruit pancake. Just as he was about to go back, someone suddenly came over. Just as he was about to walk past him, he said in surprise, "Brother Jia, I finally found you. What have you been busy with these days?" Zhao Weiran took a step back and looked at the person in front of him. He didn't know him either. He remembered that the person who carried the goods left in the 3 luxurious carriages. He looked at the person in front of him and saw that he was wearing light green satin clothes. He didn't dare to neglect him. He smiled and replied, "Nothing. I was hungry, so I bought a fruit pancake to eat. What are you busy with?" He wanted to call him by his name, but he didn't know his surname. The person smiled. "Brother Jia, are you short on money recently? Why are you eating fruit pancakes? Come, follow me to the first stall beside the barbecue shop. I specially ordered your favorite stinky tofu for you. A few of my brothers are calling for it. You are always like that. You eat 4 to 5 pieces of stinky tofu in a meal. If you eat less, you can't eat anymore. As a result, you are always smelly. Let's go." "I eat 4 to 5 pieces of stinky tofu in a meal? Aren't we supposed to eat for half a month?" Zhao Weiran felt that he wasn't in the human world. He repeated what the person said just now. The person waved his hand and said, "Could it be that Brother Jia has fallen to such a state? A piece of stinky tofu can last for half a month. Brother Jia, you sigh. Don't worry, I will find something for you to do. You can't live like this." "What do you want me to do?" Zhao Weiran asked. "Work as a laborer. Look, I will take off my clothes. How is it? Am I a laborer? It's good to work as a laborer. There are good meals that can be eaten for 2 to 3 copper coins. There are 2 meals a day. Do you want to go?" The person took off his clothes and saw that his upper body was bare. There were even calluses on his shoulders. Zhao Weiran shook his head. "No. You really don't want to go? Then you can eat your fruit pancake. I am leaving. Aya, here comes another boat. Brother Jia, see you next time." The person ran away as he spoke. As he ran, he took off his shoes. Zhao Weiran stood there with the fruit pancake in his hand. He blinked and didn't know what to do. After a while, he remembered that he was buying something for his father. He raised his head and saw that there was no one at the spot where his father was standing. He looked around and didn't see his father either. This time he was really dumbfounded. Where was his father? He was still here just now. Zhao Weiran panicked and started to look around. He ran here and there, but he still couldn't see his father. "Brother Jia, what are you looking for?" Just as Zhao Weiran was panicking, a voice rang out behind him. "Don't lie. Brother Zhou, why are you here?" Zhao Weiran recognized the person. It was Zhou Shihu. He thought that someone came to invite him to eat stinky tofu again. Zhou Shihu looked at Zhao Weiran carefully and said, "My home is here. Where else can I go?" Looking at Brother Jia's anxious look, could it be that the beauty beside you is missing? "Brother Jia, tell me, what does the beauty look like? I will help you look for her." Zhao Weiran used his sleeves to wipe the sweat off his forehead. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. He couldn't say that he followed his father here to disguise himself. Then what would the Yamen runners and the head registrar think? "Brother Jia, is it because you can't describe her appearance? Why don't you go to the Lin Shui first restaurant to take a look? The beauty usually goes there. There are many talents there." Zhou Shihu continued to persuade him and prepared to pull Zhao Weiran there. "No, impossible. I am just strolling around. I am not looking for anyone. Brother Zhou, go ahead." Zhao Weiran didn't dare to say it out loud. He could only endure the anxiety in his heart and reply perfunctorily. Zhou Shihu didn't force him and said, "That's good. Brother Jia, if you have any problems here, you can go to the Lin Shui first restaurant and get someone to look for me. If I can help, I will not refuse." Oh, the Linshui First Restaurant has a new fried stinky tofu. Brother Jia, go and try it when you are free. After saying that, Zhou Shihu walked away. Jia Weiran was stunned again. Why did everyone talk about stinky tofu when they saw him? Since his father was gone, he naturally had to look for him. Jia Weiran started to expand his search area. He walked to the yamen but didn't find him. He turned back to the other side of Qianchong town and didn't find him either. He turned around and walked to the innermost shop at the pier but still couldn't find him. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, Jia Weiran had no choice but to walk to the Linshui First Restaurant. He wanted to ask for Zhou Shihu's help. If something happened to his father, it would be serious. Young Master Jia, you are here too? Do you want to eat the stinky tofu in the restaurant? Young Master Jia, please come in. The waiter waiting at the pier said the same thing when he saw Jia Weiran. Jia Weiran was already numb. He walked onto the boat and didn't say a word. He let the boat take him to the restaurant. After entering the door and going up to the second floor, another waiter came over and said to Jia Weiran, Young Master Jia, I haven't seen you for a long time. The stinky tofu is ready for you. It is at the third floor, room 3. Jia Weiran knew that room 3 was the one he had been coming to recently. He followed the waiter upstairs and asked, How do I find Zhou Shihu? You are looking for young Master Zhou? Young Master Zhou was still here just now. Do you have something urgent? The waiter asked with concern. Yes, I am looking for someone. Jia Weiran felt a little tired after running for so long. What a coincidence, young Master Jia is also looking for someone. Someone came here just now. His surname is also Jia. The assistant secretary and the deputy county magistrate of the yamen came with him. They said that they were looking for someone. They went to room 4 together. The assistant secretary and the deputy county magistrate even called him Lord. I don't know what official he is, the waiter said. Jia Weiran grabbed the waiter and said, What did you say? The assistant secretary and the deputy county magistrate called him Lord? Yes, young Master Jia, do you know that person? Tell me about it. The waiter replied excitedly, Bring me to room 4 quickly. Forget it, I will go there myself, Jia Weiran said and ran in that direction. The waiter shouted behind him, Young Master Jia, I will send your stinky tofu to you too. Jia Weiran didn't care about the stinky tofu. He rushed to the room and opened the door. He saw his father with a helpless and anxious expression. There were also 2 people sitting there with him. They were the assistant secretary and the deputy county magistrate of Sanshui County. Father, why are you here? Jia Weiran heaved a sigh of relief and asked curiously. It is good that you are here. Eat something first. I will be taking office tomorrow. The Jia County magistrate sighed and said. Chapter 225. When Jia Weiran heard his father's words, he didn't know what had happened. Seeing that there were outsiders around, he couldn't say anything now. He nodded and sat down beside his father. Once he sat down, he felt uncomfortable all over. Young Master Jia is also here. Just now, the 2 of us told the county magistrate that young Master Jia would definitely be fine. Young Master Jia, tell us, where did you go? Were you kidnapped? Ever since County Magistrate Chung left, Sanshui County has been in chaos. Unfortunately, we don't have enough manpower. We just told the county magistrate to recruit more bailiffs. Deputy County Magistrate Zhang Mingsheng said to Jia Weiran with concern. The first thing that came to Jia Weiran's mind was that if the county magistrate recruited more people, the county magistrate would have even less money. There were already a few hundred people, why should they recruit more? How many people were there in Sanshui County? He couldn't help but object. Deputy County Magistrate Zhang, I feel that Sanshui County's law and order is good. Why should we recruit more people? Young Master Jia, you are wrong. Seeing is believing. The county magistrate knows this very well. If it wasn't for the bailiffs in the county magistrate who saw that something was wrong, the county magistrate of Sanshui County would have been replaced. Finding another 200 bailiffs is actually not a lot. Xiao Luoshui is enough. I heard that a restaurant is going to be built at the place between the clouds and the water. There will be many people there. What if someone is in danger? Isn't that right, sir? Registrar Zhao Xiang also said. He was full of anger. He should have been promoted, but now there was another one. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be happy. Jia County Magistrate sat there helplessly. He looked at his son and then at the two people opposite him. He nodded. Registrar Zhao and Deputy County Magistrate Zhang are right. We should recruit another 200 bailiffs. Just now when you went to buy something I was covered with a sack and kidnapped. If there were 2 more bailiffs, how could such a thing happen? Ah, father, you were kidnapped? Just for a while? How could such a thing happen? Didn't anyone see it? Jia Weiran opened his mouth wide and asked in disbelief. Young Master Jia, this can prove that those bad guys are bold. They don't care whether there are people around them or where they are. Young Master Jia was so close to them, but you didn't see them, right? County Deputy County Magistrate Zhang said further. Jia Weiran thought about the situation at that time, then thought about how her father looked now, the expressions of the County Deputy Magistrate and the Registrar. She understood everything. She and her father should have been discovered the moment they arrived here. The Yamen had been giving out money non-stop. Perhaps they were waiting for her father to take over and spend all the money. Now that he had come here with his father, the money had not been spent yet. He could only use this method. He sent someone to lure him here while he tied up his father. If his father had taken office and dared to tie up the county magistrate, the whole Yamen would be implicated. But the problem was that he had not taken office and had come here secretly. Who would know who he was? After tying him up, he could justifiably be promoted to Yamen runner and spend the money. Jia Weiran was upset. She had finally seen how powerful the other party was. Just now, she was still discussing with her father how to scheme against the other party. It was obvious that they were just making a fool of themselves. No wonder her father agreed. If this were to spread, where would her father put his face? Thinking about this, Jia Weiran could only choose to compromise temporarily. She said, "May I know where the county deputy and registrar plan to put the newly recruited 200 Yamen runners?" County Deputy Zhang said, 100 of them will be placed at Tuqiao village. 50 of them will be placed at the Yamen. The other 50 will naturally be placed at the place where the county magistrate is in danger. 150 of them will be working for the Zhang family and Wang family? No, they have to be sent elsewhere. Jia Weiran was filled with hatred. He had tolerated the recruitment of Yamen runners and the spending of money. But they actually sent so many people to work for the Zhang family and Wang family. They were even more impressive. This time, without waiting for the county deputy and registrar to speak, the Jia County magistrate lectured, "Weiran, what do you mean by working for others? Don't these 2 places belong to Sanshui County? Don't talk nonsense." Yes. Jia Weiran didn't dare to say anymore. This time he didn't plan well and was set up by them. Originally, there were already a few Yamen runners at Tuqiao village. Now 100 of them were sent over. In the future, when the situation there stabilized, was there still a need to talk about the relationship between the Yamen runners and them? After that, there wasn't anything important to talk about. After all, the Jia County magistrate hadn't taken office yet. They would talk about it when he was in office. They ate some food hastily and agreed that the Jia County magistrate would leave the county first tomorrow and bring the team over. Then they went their separate ways. Jia Weiran didn't eat the stinky tofu and left with his father. When he was outside and saw that no one was near, he said to his father, "Father, are you going to let them bully you like this? I really can't take this lying down." The Jia County magistrate didn't look too good either. He pursed his lips and said, "So what if you can take it lying down? So what if you can't? The 2 of us came here secretly and we were immediately targeted. This is to tell us not to play any tricks and to stay in office obediently. Otherwise, who knows what will happen? Then what should we do? Can we only stay in office obediently? This isn't the Sanshui County of the past. Father, you spent a lot of money to come here. If you don't earn back the money you spent, won't you lose money?" Jia Weiran felt uncomfortable when he thought of his original plan going down the drain. The docks could be said to be making a lot of money every day. Let's take a look first. There's no rush. We're not leaving immediately. Let's wait for the right time. I don't believe that the Yamen and the Zhang family's Zhuangzi are so clean. As long as we find evidence, the situation in Sanshui County will change. The Jia County magistrate was also worried about the money. It was sad that they could see it but couldn't get it. At this time, the Chief Secretary Zhao Xiang and the Deputy County Magistrate Zhang Mingsheng were also talking. However, their moods were different from the Jia County magistrate and his son. Brother Zhang, we've really vented our anger this time. We didn't plan to do this in the beginning. Who knew that the two of them would come here by themselves? Saved us a lot of trouble. When we welcome the county magistrate tomorrow, we'll let him know how powerful Sanshui County is. It's easy to earn money, but we have to do things well first and make the people satisfied. Zhao Xiang smiled and said to Zhang Mingsheng. He let out a long breath and felt that the sky was not so gloomy anymore. It was a little cooler. Zhang Mingsheng also had a smile on his face and replied, Brother Zhao is right. They haven't even taken office and they're already thinking about money. If we don't let them know how powerful they are, how can the people in the county live a good life? The Zhang family and Wang family spent so much effort to find temporary jobs for the people to do. They earned a lot of money. If they mess things up, how can we live a good life in the future? After saying this, Zhang Mingsheng suddenly thought of something and asked, Brother Zhao, how much money is left in the yamen? You're just a county magistrate and you don't know? You're asking me? Not much. There's about 1,000 coins left. We're waiting for the yamen runners to come and equip them with horses and weapons. I don't think it's enough. The yamen runners' salaries and weapons are almost spent. They don't even deserve horses. Zhao Xiang teased Zhang Mingsheng and told him about the money in the yamen. He knew that Zhang Mingsheng deliberately asked because he wanted him to say it and make him happy again. Didn't the new county magistrate want to be greedy for money? You pushed him down. Now you're greedy. The yamen had been repaired, so the yamen runners' meals were easy to deal with. They could let little Luo Shui deliver the thing called buffet, or borrow the next month's salary from other people. As long as the merchants were wholeheartedly working for Sanshui County, such as Zhou Shihu's family, or the original 3 restaurants, they could all borrow money. When the time came, they would have to return it when the taxes were collected. Of course, this had to be reported to the state's central government first. Otherwise, it would easily cause trouble. When the little Luoshui wharf paid the taxes again next year, they would report the full amount and wait for the higher-ups to transfer the money. Zhang Mingsheng smiled again and said, Then what's the use of recruiting so many yamen runners? At the farthest place in the county, there will be at least 1 yamen runner every 2 hours. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi has its own protection team. This name is good. When people hear it, they will know it has something to do with farming. In addition, the imperial nephew is also there. How can the Li family not have any protection people in Zhuangzi? Throwing more than 100 yamen runners, there is really not much use for them. They can be used. When the time comes, Zhangzhe Zhuangzi will think of a way to make arrangements for these people. The extra people from Little Luo Shui will also be the same. Let's quickly go back and prepare. We'll rewrite the revised proclamation and let the people know about the new county magistrate. Zhao Xiang was not worried that there would not be a place to use the manpower. This idea was originally given by the Zhang family. It was not prepared to be used today. Since it happened today, then he took it out and used it. The two of them left happily. Someone had already sent the matter of the county magistrate's incognito clothes to Zhangzhe Zhuangzi at the fastest speed. It was estimated that they would arrive at night. This was not urgent and did not need to travel 800 li. At night another snow fell. It was much heavier than during the day. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not go to the Kong. It was too early, so they only added a brazier in the room. The two of them sat in front of the desk and learned. They had just finished half a piece of paper when the yamen runner came to deliver the letter. I didn't expect that this Jia County magistrate is so interesting. He actually played with the idea of incognito clothes. In the end, he didn't play it well and leaked it. Zhang Xiaobao read the letter and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan smiled, so he really wants to take over our docks? Should we still give him benefits? Otherwise, if he knows that we always give the yamen runners benefits, he will find trouble with the yamen runners. Yes, we must give him some. We should give him some fungus first. Didn't we already move some cucumbers to him? Then we can give him some other daily necessities. Just don't give him money. As an official, his salary is not enough. Let's take care of his daily life. His salary will be used to welcome and send people. Zhang Xiaobao did not want to be so ruthless. No matter what, he had to leave a way out. The more things that were beneficial to Sanshui County, the more benefits he would get. He wanted to let him develop a habit. As for whether it would succeed, it was unknown. Wang also agreed with this idea. Okay, let's see what he will do. It can also be considered as a test. Chapter 226. The next day, snow filled the sky. It started snowing at night and showed no signs of stopping at noon. The citizens of Sanshui County who lived close to the county government gathered and followed the county secretary, deputy county magistrate, and other people. They stood 3 miles away from Sanshui County in the snow and waited for the arrival of the new county magistrate. Deputy County Magistrate Zhang wrote about the new county magistrate yesterday. The whole paper was full of good things about the new county magistrate. He said that he loved the people like his own children, that he was good at strategizing, and that he could bring a better life to the people. He asked people to put up posters all over the county in the morning. Some people who had horses and some people who lived further away rode their horses to cross the snow. The citizens did not know that the new county magistrate was preparing to take a good look at the county government yesterday to think of a way to deal with the corruption. They really thought that it was like what the deputy county magistrate wrote. Those who were illiterate asked those who were literate to read the contents of the notice. Their faces were filled with happiness. Deputy County Magistrate Zhang only wrote at the bottom of the paper that they were going to welcome the new county magistrate, and the citizens rushed over spontaneously. They did not have many requests. They just wanted the county magistrate to be like the county magistrate during this period of time. Their biggest wish was that their family members could do some odd jobs when they were free and have a good new year. Zhao Weiran and his father had come out yesterday, and they had to go back today. The two of them did not dare to delay. This time they were smarter. They brought a few of their family members, and more family members followed behind. They took the car and rushed back. Father, what do you think will happen when we arrive at the county magistrate's office today? Can we not meet a single person? Are we the only ones going to take up the post? Then, when you take office, there will be many citizens who come to complain about you. What kind of trivial matter will it be? Your desk will be filled with documents from a few years ago. It will be 10 feet high. Zhao Weiran said worriedly. After thinking for a while, he added, when you gave the order, there were so many bailiffs, but they claimed to be sick and did not come. The deputy magistrate and the registrar changed their shrewdness yesterday and said they did not know anything. Also, which powerful person came to find trouble? Jia County magistrates did not know what would happen. What his son said seemed to be right. Usually, when the people below did not want the people above them to send people, they would use these seemingly simple but effective methods. There were not many people who could survive. After pondering for a while, he said to his son, "Don't be afraid. We'll think of a way to deal with it." Zhao Weiran was in a bad mood and knew that this was the only way. His bodyguards were also not so calm. They were not stupid. They knew that their master had used some tricks to become an official this time. Perhaps he lived in a dilapidated house and did not eat good food. Everyone had their own thoughts as they gradually approached the county town. When they were about 4 li away, it was impossible to see the situation in front of them because of the heavy snow. However, as the group got closer and closer, they could finally see the situation in front of them. Countless people were standing in the snow, looking in their direction. The people on the other side should have seen them too. Under the lead of some people wearing the same clothes, they came over to welcome them. Such a scene frightened Zhao Weiran and the rest. They thought that they were going to attack them. Master, judging from their clothes, they should be the yamen runners of Sanshui County. There are so many of them, a man beside the carriage reported to Jia County magistrates, who lifted the curtain and looked out. Yes, I saw them. Stop. Jia County magistrates was in a bad mood, but he had to put on an act. Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang came to the front of the carriage at the same time and said to Jia County magistrates in the carriage, Sanshui County's registrar Zhao Xiang, Zhang Mingsheng, is here to welcome county magistrates. Welcome, county magistrates. Please set off. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, the yamen runners and the commoners also said welcoming words at the same time. They also made way and stood on both sides of the road. Jia County magistrates, who was sitting in the carriage and did not know what would happen, could not sit still anymore. Even if he had planned to get a lot of things when he came here, he could not help but be moved when he saw so many people welcoming him in the snow. It was fine that the registrar and the deputy county magistrates came to welcome him because they wanted to give him face. The yamen runners came because they were afraid that he would make things difficult for them when he took office. However, the commoners also came. He did not know if it was the arrangement of the yamen. Anyway, it was a grand occasion for him to take office. He could not sit still and got out of the carriage. He looked at the serious and respectful expressions of the yamen runners and the happy faces of the commoners. He immediately knew that the commoners were not forced to come here. He walked forward for a while and came to a 7 or 8-year-old child who was snuggling up to his parents. He squatted down and asked, "What's your name? How old are you? Are you cold?" The child was a little shy, so he hid behind. He hugged his father's waist and poked his head out. He said in a clear voice, "My name is Li Xiaoshu. I'm 7 years old. I'm cold. I feel cold when the wind blows. My father said that you are a good official, so I'm not cold anymore. Are you a good official?" The child's innocent look and Weiwei's trembling body made Jia County Magistrate speechless. He could feel the anticipation of the commoners around him. He wanted to say that he was a good official, but he felt that it would be against his will. Say that he was not a good official? What a joke. While the child was waiting, Jia County Magistrates finally spoke. "I don't know if I'm a good official, but I'll do my job well." As he spoke, he took off his cloak and put it around the child. He patted the child's head and then stood up. He said to the people behind him, "Follow me in." With him leading the way, the rest of the people who were on the horses also got off and led the way. Jia Weiran followed behind in a daze. He had thought of many things that would happen, but he did not expect it to be like this. Being surrounded by so many commoners, the cold wind was weaker and his body was warmer. However, he did not feel good. Looking at the registrar and the deputy, he could only praise them in his heart. So many commoners were welcoming them in the snow. If they really did something in the future, what would the commoners say? The Zhang family and the Wang family had 2 7th-ranked officials. If they joined forces with the commoners to submit a petition, not to mention the county magistrate, even the provincial governor would be taken down, especially since it was so close to the capital. Thinking of this, Jia Weiran went to the deputy and said in a low voice, "Good plan." Zhao Mingsheng also replied, "Good official." After walking for 3 miles, the moment they entered the county, the sound of gongs, drums and firecrackers could be heard. There were many commoners waiting along the streets. When they saw the new county magistrate, they cheered. The children were also laughing and jumping happily. Jia County Magistrate smiled and signaled to the people on both sides. However, there was an indescribable feeling in his heart. He could imagine that many people would know about what happened today. The people in the province and even the imperial court would probably reward him in a few days. Everyone would know that he was a good official. Good official? Aya. Impressive. This was more impressive than what his son had thought. A good official should not be greedy for money and should not think for himself. If not, as he was thinking about these things, the road seemed to be very long. It was not easy to reach the yamen. He already knew that it looked very glamorous from the outside, but he did not know what it was like inside. His son could not find out either. As he entered the main hall, he saw that it was not bad. Jia County Magistrates was quite satisfied. After the handover, the commoners left happily. A group of people began to look at the place where they would live in the future. Everyone felt uneasy. "Ah, father, this is where we will live in the future." When they reached the back, Jia Weiran saw the neat limestone bricks on the ground, the withered flowers on both sides, the beautifully painted courtyard walls, the newly tiled house, the winding path that led to the back, and the tall locust tree. He could not believe his eyes. Jia County Magistrates was also shocked. He looked at the courtyard that was just renovated. He did not expect the yamen to treat him like this. When they walked past the first courtyard and reached the second courtyard, he was even more suspicious that they had come to the wrong place. The road was still paved with limestone bricks. There was yellow sand on both sides of the road. There was a flower bed on the left and a moon gate on the right that led to another courtyard. This time it was clean and tidy. After passing through the moon gate, they saw the winding path in front of them. There was a small pond and a corridor leading to it. There was a pavilion beside the pond. On the other side of the pavilion, There was a clump of plum blossoms. There were wind chimes hanging from the hexagons that rang in the wind. "Sir, please come this way." A yamen runner walked in front and led the Jia County magistrates and the others along the winding path. They came to a place surrounded by big trees. There were some curtains there and there were people clearing the snow from time to time. Before they could see what was inside, they could smell the fragrance of cucumbers. "Sir, these are cucumbers prepared for you. You can pick them and eat them fresh. Go to the pavilion to boil some wine and enjoy the snow and plum blossoms," the yamen runner introduced. "Oh, okay. Deputy Zhang, may I know why?" Jia County magistrate suppressed the shock in his heart and asked Zhang Mingsheng, who was following behind him. Zhang Mingsheng showed a puzzled look and asked, "Sir, what are you talking about?" Jia County magistrates knew that he did it on purpose. He had to make it clear and said, "Why did you fix my place so well? Sir, you are asking about this? It's not very good. It's just enough for one person to live in. We can't let your whole family live in the courtyard. This is the idea of the people in the county. Sir, you are a good official. Of course you have to fix your place. It's cold. If you catch a cold, the people will suffer." Deputy Zhang Mingsheng told the reason, but no one around him believed him. "Sir, in the future, there will be people in the courtyard from time to send some food and necessities. They are all from the merchants themselves," Zhao Xiang added. "Well, thank you very much." Jia County magistrates couldn't say anything else. He completely understood now that the people here, or to be exact, the Zhang family, didn't want him to be greedy. They could give him benefits, let him live well, and provide him with food and necessities. He just had to do his job honestly. As a county magistrate, he should never interfere. Otherwise. Chapter 227. The road ahead began, and the sun was high in the sky. The county was peaceful, and there was nothing to do. When the sun was high in the sky, the Jia County magistrates, who had been in office for less than 5 days, yawned and crawled out of his warm bed. He was served to freshen up, eat breakfast, put on his official uniform and strolled in the garden. He went to the front hall and sat on the chair in the middle of the hall, drinking a cup of tea. Looking at the yamen runner who was dozing off at the door, he asked listlessly, "Are we still going to the dock later? If you want to go, I will go with you. If you want to go somewhere else, I will ask someone to prepare a carriage and a horse." The yamen runner shook his head and replied after he was a little more awake, "Oh, okay, then we will go somewhere else today. We will go up the river and walk casually. There is no need to prepare a carriage." Did anyone complain? The Jia County magistrates asked hopefully. The yamen runner shook his head again. "Sir, no one complained. Your administration is clean and peaceful, and the people live in peace. If there are outsiders, they will not dare to make trouble when they see the yamen runners patrolling the county." The Jia County magistrates did not speak anymore. He drank a sip of tea, closed his eyes and sat there to take a nap. However, he could not help but think about something. He was too idle. He had been here for 5 days, and his mother and wives had been praising him for finding a good place to be an official. The garden was beautiful, the room was comfortable, and the food was not bad. The cook at home only had to follow the instructions of the restaurant to cook the ingredients. Even his 12-year-old daughter said that he did not need to be tired. Wasn't that true? He had nothing to do all day. These days he went out every day. It was bustling, and the people he saw always had a smile on their faces. Occasionally, beggars would come from outside and kneel in the snow. In less than a quarter of an hour, a yamen runner would come and ask if they were willing to work elsewhere. If they were willing, they could go to the yamen and be sent to the prefecture. At this time, the county deputy would be done. It would not take long for any official to find them and put their stamp on them. If there were any beggars who were not willing to work, the yamen runner would directly drive them out of Sanshui County. No one could find fault with this. If they were not hungry, they would not work. He didn't need to worry. He was free, but what was he doing in Sanshui County? There was no money in the treasury. The yamen runners' daily meals were provided by the little Luoshui pier, and so was their own family. They did not need to spend a single one. Their food and clothing were all taken care of. Based on this arrangement, if they wanted to earn some money while they were in office, they would have to earn their salary. There was also the Chongping warehouse in the county. Originally, it was made by you, but the prefecture did not investigate. There was a lot of grain in there. If the grain was expensive, it would be put away, and if the grain was cheap, it would be taken away. The Sanshui County was very stable. As long as one was willing to put the seal here and let others stamp it at will, one could travel around and play. But what's the point? He wanted to submit a memorial to accuse the county's merchants of privately contributing to the government. However, when he saw the 10,000 citizens form on the desk, the other places were already filled, and he only needed to fill in his name. Once his memorial was submitted, the 10,000 citizens form would be filled in with his name and submitted to the government. At that time, the people of the county would feel indebted to him, and thus contribute to the government. If the higher-ups were to accuse him, he would be the first to be punished. Little boy from the Tang family, are you all right? Just when the Jia County magistrates was feeling angry, an old woman came to the entrance of the Yamen hall and asked the Yamen runner sitting there. It seemed that she did not see that there was another person sitting in the hall. Madam Hong, why did you come out? It's cold outside. Go back quickly. If there's anything, just ask Brother Hong to come over. The Yamen runner opened his eyes, saw the old woman, and advised her with concern. The Jia County magistrates became alert. He thought that someone was going to complain, so he slammed the gavel on the table and asked the people at the door, "Who is complaining?" Left and right Yamen runners quickly bring him to the hall. The old woman and the Yamen runner were startled at the same time. The Yamen runner looked at the old woman and then at the county magistrate, not knowing what to say. The old woman helped him out, squinting her eyes and looking at the person sitting in the hall. She said, "I won't complain. I don't want to trouble you, sir. I asked little boy Tang to come to my house to help me kill the pig. There's only him and my daughter-in-law at home. The neighbors are busy and can't tie up the pig. They'll be back in a while." "I'm not busy," the Jia County magistrates muttered in his heart. He said, "It's such a big matter. Tongyong, come with me to check it out." The Jia County magistrates was so bored that he was annoyed. Finally, there was something to do. It was better to kill the pig than to sit here. After saying this, he turned around and changed into casual clothes. It would be difficult to wash the blood off his clothes. It didn't take long for Jia County magistrates to come back with a small basin in his hand. When he went back, he met his mother. His mother said that she wanted to eat blood tofu, so he gave her a small basin and 2 coins and asked her to bring some back. The old woman led the way, followed by the Jia County magistrates and the Yamen runner. The 3 of them left the Yamen and went to the old woman's house to kill the pig. The Jia County magistrates was very happy. This was the first time he was in charge of government affairs. Oh, it wasn't easy. As they were walking, the Jia County magistrates noticed that there was a person in front of them who seemed to be trying to steal something from another person. His hand had already reached the person's waist. There was a small pouch there. A big case, the Jia County magistrates thought. He nudged the Yamen runner next to him and pointed forward. He should be an outsider. Judging from his clothes, he doesn't come from a rich family. Don't worry, sir. In a few days, this person will find a job in the county. It's his first time. He didn't even dare to touch the pouch. The Yamen runner had already seen it. If it was someone else who was being stolen, he would have caught them. However, he didn't have to worry about the person who was being stolen. He used to be a master thief in the county. Later on, he stopped stealing and started to make trinkets for Zhang Zhezhuangzi's restaurant. His hands were very skillful. In a month he could earn 3 or 4 strings of coins. He should be caught and put in prison. The Jia County magistrates wanted to convict this person. "Sir, there's no one in prison. The original ones who committed serious crimes have already been sent to the county court. The ones who were not so serious have all been released to work. It's better to save one person than to lock one up. This is the first time that person stole something. Locking him up is just to let him know that he will be a good person in the future. Even if we don't arrest him now, he will still be a good person." The Yamen runner could only persuade him. If this person was caught, he would be sent to Zhou Shihu. Zhou Shihu was always short of manpower. If this person was repentant and didn't commit serious crimes, he would arrange a job for him. If he didn't, he would be forced to work, locked up and fed. Sure enough, just as the Yamen runner said, The person who wanted to steal hesitated a few times before finally taking action. As soon as his hand touched the pouch, it was grabbed and twisted. The Yamen runner scolded him, "Are you blind? You still want to steal in front of me? Don't you know who's in charge of this street? How dare you steal something from me?" The Jia County magistrates was stunned. It was too fast. He was caught in an instant. He walked forward happily. The people around him didn't gather around to watch the show like they did in other places. The people who were doing business on the street shook their heads and lamented that the guy was unlucky. Stealing in front of a master thief, not to mention that he was stealing from a master thief, he would also be caught stealing from others. The original ruffians in the county began to watch after they changed their ways. They didn't allow others to steal from the people in the county. Even the Yamen runner who saw the situation stood aside and didn't want to go forward. "Big brother, please let me go. I won't dare to do it again. It's my first time." The person who was caught cried and begged. The pain from his hand made sweat ooze out of his forehead. The Jia County magistrate saw that his subordinate didn't listen to him. He had no choice but to ask the Yamen runner beside him, "What about robbers and murderers? Don't tell me that kind of people never come to Sanshui County?" "Sir, you're right. Sanshui County hasn't deliberately killed anyone in recent years. People who come from outside are usually escaping from disasters. As long as no one instigates them, they're more obedient than the locals. Recently, there hasn't been anyone stealing. In the past, some of the ruffians in the county changed their profession to make money. Some of them, like me, have become Yamen runners." The Yamen runner explained to him. The Jia County magistrates carefully looked at the Yamen runner beside him and asked, "You used to be on this street?" "To be honest with you, sir, 2 years ago when you mentioned Tang Haizi, there was no one on this street who wasn't afraid of him. Am I right, auntie?" The Yamen runner told him everything. The old lady smiled and said, "Yes, sir, you don't know. In the past, this kid was always causing trouble and was not filial at home. The neighbors all avoided him. He would be locked up every few days. Now it's different." "Good, very good." After hearing the old lady's words, the Jia County magistrates didn't know what to say. This was strange. Ruffians were now Yamen runners. What kind of world was this? The Jia County magistrates couldn't think of anything and could only look at the thief again. At this time, the thief didn't shout anymore. He was holding a fruit pancake in his hand and eating it quickly. In the blink of an eye, the fruit pancake was in his stomach. He took a sip of water from the Yamen runner who caught him and picked up another fruit pancake to eat. He ate 4 fruits in a row and was stopped by the Yamen runner. Only then did he hold his bloated stomach and burp. The fruit pancake was not small. It could be steamed into a big steamed bun. There were also 3 big fruits in it. The Yamen runner who sold the fruit pancakes was very generous. He thought about adding some chopsticks into the fruit pancake every day when he stir-fried shredded radishes. Looking at the thief's thin body, he wondered how the fruit pancake could fit into the fruit pancake. "He's really hungry." The Jia County magistrates believed the Yamen runner's words. It was the thief's first time doing such a thing, so he was very hungry. It seemed that it was good to let someone who had done bad things in the past become a Yamen runner. He had sharp eyes. It wouldn't be easy to commit a crime in front of these people. The Yamen runner watched the thief finish eating and asked, "Is there anyone else in the house?" "No, there's a little sister. She's 9 years old." "Big brother, what do you want me to do?" The thief knew that it was impossible for him not to do something when he was caught and given food to eat. "I'll go with you to pick up your little sister. When you come with me, I'll take care of your food and drink. I'll also make clothes for you. When you do it, you'll be paid. If I catch you doing such a thing again in the future, don't think about getting your hand back." "Second uncle, how much is it?" The Yamen runner warned the thief and asked the Yamen runner. Just now, the Yamen runner had added more fruits and eggs. He didn't know how to calculate. Book ID equals 1589628. Book name equals usurper. Chapter 228. Although Jia County magistrates felt a little regretful that he couldn't handle a big case, he was still willing to see someone change. He said to the seller, "I'll pay for it." "Oh, the county magistrate is here. How can I let you pay for it? This kid will work for little Huzi in the future, so I won't take his money. My cart was made by little Huzi, so I didn't spend any money. Would you like to try one? The seller didn't have a good leg, so he came out from the back of the cart and wanted to salute. He was happy to see that a kid didn't take a wrong turn. Jia County Magistrate saw that the thief was enjoying the food, so he smacked his lips and said, "Okay, then give me one too. Pay up." The last two words were said to the Yamen runner. He now admitted that except for himself, the rest of the people in the Yamen were in the same boat as the Zhang family and the Wang family. The Yamen didn't have any money in its account and only gave him things. Since that was the case, it would be a waste not to use it. Yamen runner immediately took out 4 copper coins and put them in the bamboo tube next to the cart. Second uncle, add 3 more eggs, oil on both sides, and some more chili sauce. Okay, I wanted to buy one for you, but I was afraid that you wouldn't want it. I'll put more. You didn't help me when you saw it just now. The seller cupped his hands and saluted, then turned back and started to spread the pancakes. He cracked the eggs and put the eggshells in the bucket next to him. Jia County Magistrates looked and asked curiously, "Why are you still keeping the eggshells? Just throw them away." "Sir, look at this road. Where are the things that are thrown away? As for the useless things, as long as they are bones, leaves, or eggshells, they should be left behind. When the Zhang family comes back, they will give us some eggs or vegetable oil." Zhang family? Zhangjia Zhuangzi of Tuqiao village? Jia County Magistrates thought of that place when he heard about the Zhang family. He was both afraid and resentful of that place. The second uncle flipped the pancake over and continued to beat eggs on it. He said, "Sir, you also know? It's right there. If the weather is hot, dry those things under the sun. Those who raise chickens keep some and other things to feed. Most of them are given to Zhangjia Zhuangzi to feed the chickens." When Jiayi heard someone talking bad about Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he felt uncomfortable. Looking at the person selling crepes, if he badmouthed Zhangjia Zhuangzi now, he might not sell anything to him anymore. No wonder Zhangjia Zhuangzi dared to be so arrogant and even restricted the county magistrate. The hearts of the people here were all with him. Since he could not deal with it now, he could only endure. County Magistrate Jia made up his mind and asked again, "Then, do you know how many chickens there are in the Zhang's farm now?" "I don't know. Many, that's called many. This year I caught 15 chicks from his family. One of them is male and the rest are female. They will be able to lay eggs next spring." When the second uncle thought about the chickens laying eggs next year, he became even happier. He even put in more chopped green onions, pressed the fruit, rolled it up, wrapped it in a piece of paper and handed it over. "How much for one?" Jia County Magistrates thought that Zhangjia Zhuangzi deliberately asked for more money. This was also a crime. "It's free. I exchanged it with eggshells. 30 eggshells for one chick. When I first brought it back, it was small and fluffy." The second uncle didn't know that the county magistrate was scheming against Zhangjia Zhuangzi, so he said whatever he wanted. Yamen runner at the side understood that the county magistrate was looking for trouble. "Go ahead." The Zhang family and Zhuangzi never left any loopholes for others to use against them. When the Jia County magistrates heard this answer, he knew that he couldn't find any fault with Zhangjia Zhuangzi in this aspect. How could eggshells be worth money? A chick was worth about 2 or 3 copper coins. 10 eggshells were worth 1 copper coin? Would anyone believe that? He took the fruit pancake and ate it as he walked. It was really good. It was warm and full. After eating one, he felt full and warm from the inside out. When the Jia County magistrates almost finished eating the fruit pancake, the 3 of them had already arrived at the old lady's house. The county magistrate helped to coax the pig while the Yamen runner and the old lady's son tied up the pig. The rest of the time was simple. After an hour, the Jia County magistrates and the Yamen runner returned to the Yamen. The Yamen runner carried the pig's blood and a piece of pig's intestines. He said to the county magistrate while walking, "We didn't eat this before. We threw it to the dog at home or threw it into the latrine pit. Later on we stopped throwing it." "Why?" The county magistrate was puzzled. Zhangjia Zhuangzi specially instructed people to teach others how to eat this, especially the intestines. They can be made into sausages or stuffed with sausages. They can be smoked with sawdust. That way the taste will be better. When we get back, I'll make a meat sausage for the adults. Or I can wash it with water and fry it. It's also good to eat cold. Yamayaman Runner shook the intestines in his hand and explained in detail. The Jia County magistrates didn't want to eat this no matter what. It was disgusting just looking at it. He didn't understand why Zhangzhe Zhuangzi's people taught others this. He asked, what benefits does the Zhang family get by doing this? Benefits? Of course. When the people in the county eat well, they will be in good health. They will work more and earn more money. The better their food, the more money they will have. When the time comes, they will have more spare money. When they have more money, they will need to buy things. Merchants will also come over. As long as they travel by water, they will have to stop at the docks. When the merchants earn more money, other than the yamen tax, they also need to eat. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi has a lot of restaurants and shops that haven't been rented out. These are all money. When more people rent out the shops, the prices of the shops will be higher. Yamayaman Runner said this because he had asked the county magistrate. He also knew that Zhangzhe Zhuangzi was doing a good deed for the county. Although the cooking methods were simple, they were very useful. Some people even bought these things from other people and opened a small shop to sell them. When the people in the county knew that these things were edible, they would also eat them. Jia County magistrates didn't think about these things. He only heard that the prices of the shops at the docks would be higher after the tax was collected. This was the reason why he came. Why don't we go to Zhangzhe Zhuangzi tomorrow to take a look? If there is anything difficult, I can help. Jia County magistrate's heart was excited. As per magistrate's orders, we will set off for Zhangzhe Zhuangzi tomorrow. We will probably arrive before nightfall. Magistrate, please don't be so bumpy. The Yamen Runner didn't care where he went. There was nothing to be afraid of at Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. He could see how to grow vegetables, but it was impossible for him to know how to grow wood ears and hatch chickens. Smoke rose in spirals from the chimney, and the north wind whistled. Winter plum blossoms stood in the snow. Who was more delicate? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan pierced themselves into a ball. Except for their eyes, all other parts of their bodies were covered. They stepped on the snow to look at the plum blossoms. The flowers had not bloomed yet, and only the bony branches were hanging on the snow. We originally planned to build houses for the villagers this year, but it was delayed. We can only do it next year. Let someone see which houses are not sturdy. Let's repair them first so that they won't be crushed by the snow. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the trees in front of him, but he was talking about the situation at Zhuangzi. Yes, we have to repair them. Tomorrow is the beginning of spring. After the spring plowing, we will repair them. It has been 5 days, and the new county magistrate still hasn't done anything. It seems that he wants to endure hardships. Just lie down for a year. Next year we won't have a chance to cause trouble. Wang Wan pulled her hand out of his hand and touched a short branch. She also didn't talk about the plum blossoms, but talked about the county magistrate. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the houses near the school, and saw smoke rising up and being blown away by the wind. He thought for a while and said, he has just arrived, so he doesn't know where to start. He still needs to use the people in the yamen. He doesn't dare to get rid of them and replace them with his own. He must be waiting for an opportunity. I was thinking whether to drive him away now, or wait for a while and give him a chance to leave. It's winter, what should we feed the children? Children have weak bodies. When they are cold or hot, they will get sick easily. We have to make some milk so that the children can resist the cold after eating. Butter, this thing is okay. Just the butter alone is also okay. Wang Wan gave an idea that she couldn't do at all. Zhang Xiaobao didn't dare to think about using butter to cook food. How many cows would have to be killed to have enough for the children to eat? He thought for a while and said, use the pig meat. Use the oil that has been refined to make some steamed buns for them. Apples can be stored for a long time. Buy more and put them in the cellar before they freeze at the dock. Buy some from nearby stores first. From tomorrow onwards, add an egg to your meal. After the meal, you'll get a small plate of cucumber, pear and apple. Then fry some carrot sticks with oil. Each person gets 2 ounces a day as snacks. The medical conditions are really too bad. It's not easy to get through the illness. Well, you can do these things as you see fit. Medical treatment is not easy. It needs the cooperation of other systems. Chinese medicine is based on people. It needs to be cultivated from a young age. It also needs to be talented and intelligent. With enough medicinal materials and patience for practice, It is possible to cultivate a good doctor. The requirements are too high. Wang Wan knew that it was impossible to make medical equipment and medicine, but she still yearned for it, especially in the surgery department. It was not easy to teach people anatomy. Zhang Xiaobao also thought that if there was a bigger hospital here, how much trouble would it save? Well, how much trouble would it cause? The problem of the system is also the problem of the change of the dynasty. If we don't give the opportunity to develop, Chinese medicine already has some systems. A change is over. Do you believe in Chinese medicine? Which system do you believe in? Wang Wan turned her head and asked. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. It doesn't matter whether I believe in it or not. I only hope that when I am sick I can treat it. For example, if you have a cold, you can treat it by drinking Buplurum Chinese soup or taking some pills. Don't think about opposing, you have to think about integration. Take ginseng for example. If you eat too much, you will have nosebleeds. Something that can be used as a poison can definitely be used as a medicine. Chinese medicine is a way of thinking, not a model. Even if you use instruments, you can still say that it is Chinese medicine. Let's not talk about this. It's too heavy. Sprinkle salt to melt snow or charcoal. Are you talking about the water between the clouds and the water? Use charcoal. If you sprinkle salt, you will kill the fish. In order to maintain this brand, how much charcoal do you need? Wang Wan could not estimate at the moment. Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about something else. So be it. Only collect charcoal in Sanshui County to stimulate domestic demand. Give the county magistrate a chance. Chapter 229. The wheels of the carriage crunched on the snow, and the horses had to be replaced by donkeys at noon. The wind seemed to come from all directions and swept the snow on the ground in a whirl. Every time they passed by a village, they would see a group of children running crazily. Their little hands were still holding the snow firmly, and they would hit the people on the other side. When a snowball hit their faces, they would wipe their snot with their sleeves and provide ammunition for others while crying. Every time they couldn't stand the cold, they would put their hands inside their clothes to warm them up, or rub their hands with the snow until they were steaming. Which child didn't feel pain when they accidentally fell? Their clothes were wet and the ground was full of snow, so they would get up after a roll. Jia County magistrate sat in the carriage and watched the children play. He also felt that it was interesting, but it was a pity that he couldn't go down to play for a while. Sir, I think we will arrive at our destination after dark. The road is not easy to travel on, and the horses have been traveling for a long time. If they continue to travel, they will be tired. This donkey will be slower. The yamen runner saw that the curtain of the carriage was lifted, so he walked to the side and said, "Oh, I didn't eat at noon, and I will eat at dinner too." Jia County magistrates didn't prepare much when he came. He only brought some water and tea, and he planned to drink it in the carriage. He didn't expect that he would be delayed until now. At noon when they changed donkeys, there was a small shop. He didn't eat when he saw that the shop was a little dirty, so he asked them to continue with the journey. The yamen runner hesitated for a moment, and then went to another yamen runner to get a paper bag. He handed it to Jia County magistrates and said, "Sir, if you are hungry, you can eat this." Jia County magistrates received it and opened it. He found that it was fried noodles, but he didn't know how to eat it. "What is this?" "This is specially prepared for us by the Zhang family's farmstead. When we are on patrol or have something to do, we can eat it on the way. Here's also this." As the yamen runner spoke, he handed over a 2-inch-long bamboo tube as thick as a little finger to County Magistrate Jia. Without waiting for Jia County magistrates to ask, he said directly, "Sir, if you want to soak the noodles with water, pour this in. We usually don't have water, so we just put this on the noodles to eat. The noodles have been packed with spices and other things. This is oil and butter." When Zhang Zhezhuangzi's cow fell to its death, most of the butter would be left to make this. Now that it is cold, you can put the tube down and hold it for a while. The oil will come out and spread on the noodles. It is very delicious. I don't know what is in it, but it is not greasy to eat, only this oil. If it is frozen, it can be eaten as a snack. Jia County magistrates listened to these words, and the sentence that left the deepest impression on him was that Zhang Zhezhuangzi specially prepared this for them. Good, it was really good. When the yamen runners were working outside and didn't have enough food to eat, Zhangzhe Zhuangzi would make something for them. It was true for others but definitely not for them. Jia County magistrates thought. He looked at his teacup and then at the pot with little water. He really couldn't soak the noodles. He didn't want to eat it like this, so he asked the yamen runner, "It doesn't seem good for you to just chew on this stuff outside." "Sir, it's not that. We are lazy." Other than this, the Zhang family also gave us 4 sets of bowls and a bag of lime. When you want to soak the noodles, just fill the bowls with water and sprinkle the lime into the other bowls. "Sir, if you want to soak the noodles, I have a bamboo tube with some dried vegetables in it. Put it in the water and it will grow bigger." As the yamen runner spoke, he handed over another bamboo tube. This bamboo tube was slightly bigger, and at the same time there was a bowl. Jia County magistrates took it and checked that there was nothing else on the bowl. After washing it clean, he put the noodles in it. Naturally, there was a pot to boil water on the other side. Then he poured the butter in the small bamboo tube. When he opened another bamboo tube and poured the butter in, Jia County magistrates felt even more helpless. What poured out was actually some dried meat, which seemed to have been braised before drying. There were also some dried vegetables. When the yamen runners were hungry outside, they could eat these things. How could they not think of Zhangzhe Zhuangzi? There were vegetables, meat, and oil. Using that bowl to eat the hot noodles, this meal would cost at least 6 or 7 copper coins. The meat was not pork, chicken, or fish. Most of it was mutton, and a small part of it was beef. This Zhangzhe Zhuangzi was really too difficult to deal with. The people in the county remembered their kindness. The yamen runners ate their food. Even though he was a newcomer, he lived in the house built by them, used the things they put in the house, and ate the dishes they prepared. However, these were not the scariest thing. The scariest thing was their means and tolerance. So many restaurants and shops belonged to them. They took out the methods of growing vegetables in winter. As long as they met someone who was a little stronger, they would give up the benefits such as the imperial nephew or the prince. As for those who were not capable, they would finish them off one by one. The Mi family had lost so badly. If he didn't do as they said, would he also lose? While he was thinking about these things, the water was already boiling. Jia County magistrates poured everything into the bowl of noodles. After pouring in the water, he closed the lid and said to the yamen runners outside, "Who wants some hot water? I'll boil some for you." Jia County magistrates had put down his pride. He really didn't want to offend the yamen runners now. There were more than 700 yamen runners in the yamen. That meant that there were more than 700 families, relatives, and neighbors. If Zhangzhe Zhuangzi could give them food, why couldn't he do the same? "Sir, there's no need to boil the water. We have other things to eat." The instant noodles were originally going to be sold, but then Zhangzhe Zhuangzi found out that it was not good, so he gave it to us. "They gave it to you because they couldn't sell it?" Jia County magistrates was happy. Giving it to someone who couldn't sell it and giving it to them directly were two different things. Yes, it's not easy to sell. The instant noodles are for daily use. There's another thing that I heard is made with a big iron block. This is it. There's chopped green onions, minced meat, and oil inside. It's wrapped in oil paper. Sir, don't be fooled by its small size. One piece can last you half a day. This is specially made for us. As the yamen runner spoke, he handed in a paper bag. Jia County magistrates opened it. It looked like snacks, but it was much harder than snacks. He didn't know what it was. "What's this?" The person who sent it said that it's called compressed biscuits. It's very easy to eat. You'll be full after eating it and drinking some water. People who travel long distances like it the most. It's small in size and tastes good. It's better than the fried noodles that people usually eat. 2 days ago, they sent another thing that can be soaked in water when there's water. It's water chestnut powder. The yamen runner handed another paper bag to Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates was a little numb. He took it and looked at it. He said to the yamen runner, "What else is there?" "There's also some for boiling soup. It's all powder. There's fish foam, seasoning, and bone marrow powder in it." The yamen runner took another yamen runner's backpack and put it in the cart. Chapter 230. Looking up, the snowmen were lined up. Brooms were used as arms, and leather hats were worn. Red beans were turned into buttons and the heart was happy. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. During the afternoon break, The children who ran out of the school picked up their tools and started to build snowmen. Big snowballs rolled out one by one, and the smaller ones were placed on top of them. After adding some snow, the shape of a snowman was roughly formed. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also joined in and gave pointers from time to time. The children were responsible for the work. For this, Zhang Xiaobao specially asked people to find some things from the grocery store, such as lower-quality leather hats, brooms, red beans and black charcoal. He even took out a carrot and used it as a nose. Wang Wan didn't understand at first. Why did a child need so many things to make a snowman? The arms could be replaced with branches, and the other parts could be made with mud balls. This cost her more money. Zhang Xiaobao said to her, "This is the cohesion. The children must have a sense of belonging to Zhuangzi from a young age. Everything is the best and they are the best. Look, the children are more serious when they see these things." Looking at the snowmen that were formed one by one, Wang Wan had to admit that once these things were taken out, the children's performance was different. They appeared more formal and organized more rigorously. "Little man, look, this is you and this is me. I'll hold you until spring comes." Lu'er held her little brother's hand and stood in front of the two snowmen, one big and one small, and said to her little brother, who was not very mature yet, "Little man was much better than when he was young." If others didn't say it, they wouldn't be able to tell that this child was the poor, small, dark, and thin child from before. At this time he was wearing thick clothes, a leather hat on his head, and a scarf around his neck. He held his sister's hand and looked at the busy people, smiling happily. Hearing his sister's words, the 3-year-old turned his head and said, "Sister, spring is coming. The snow has melted, and we are gone." "Yes, the snow has melted." Lu'er did not know what to say. It was as if she did not want spring to arrive. "You will turn into water and flow into the river together. Then you will turn into clouds, one big cloud and one small cloud, flying in the sky." Wang Wan felt that it was indeed difficult to understand the feelings of children. When they looked at the snowman, they did not want spring to come, so she said in a childish tone. Lu'er's eyes lit up. "Yes. When the time comes, it will become a cloud, and then it will become rain. It will fall on the flowers below. You can water one flower, and I will water the other. The two flowers will be together. When winter comes, it will become a snowman. It will be bigger than this year's snowman. Together." Young man became happy again. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also had a new feeling. When the seasons changed, there was sadness and hope. A horse came from afar. It did not go to the place where the children were playing, but went directly to the courtyard of the main house. After a while, Steward Zhang came here and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were making a snow slide, "Little master, little miss, the county magistrate is coming. He will probably arrive after dark. Oh, it seems that he still hasn't given up. Come, let's see what he is going to do. Tell people to keep a close eye on him, including the people he sees. It's best to even know what they say." Zhang Xiaobao stopped shoveling the snow in his hands and looked at the small bridge as he said. Steward Zhang knew that the little master did not care about these things, so he nodded and turned to leave. Wang Wan complained a little unhappily. Why did he have to come today? It's not easy to take the children out to play for a while, but his mood became bad again. He schemed against each other all day. If only we were really children who didn't know anything. Children want to grow up quickly while adults want to go back to the past. We are back, so we should be satisfied. The nostalgia for life is not the pain of death, but the unwilling to lose the attention to this world. It's good to be alive. Zhang Xiaobao seemed to be used to fighting, so he said firmly to Wang Wan. Wang Wan smiled. "I'm just saying. If you want to live a good life, you have to grasp more resources. The competition will never stop. Even snowmen have to face spring. Flowers bloom and wither, clouds roll and unfold, and tides rise and fall. What will come will come. As long as we can go further on this road, it's good. Yes, this is life. Fortunately, I have you. I feel much more relaxed. When the water in the swimming pool freezes, let's make ice lanterns. There's a little fiery red in the crystal, and a warm heart in the cold." Zhang Xiaobao's mood was also touched by the children's cheerful play. Usually he would not say these words. In order to leave more happy memories for the children, Zhang Xiaobao specially announced that there would be no classes today. Amidst the children's laughter and the snowman's black eyes, the curtain of night quietly fell. A hazy full moon hung over the silent Zhuangzi. Sir, please bear with it for a while. We're almost there. If you continue to eat instant noodles, you won't be able to eat anything else. It was dark. A few lanterns were hung in front of the carriage, or were picked up by the Yamen runners. Jia County Magistrate's team was getting closer and closer to Tuqiao village. Jia County Magistrates had eaten a full meal some time ago. In his opinion, the instant noodles in the bowl tasted really good, especially with the meat and dried green onions added later. The taste was only a little bit worse when soaked in it. At this time he felt hungry again and wanted to eat another bowl. The Yamen runners were reluctant to give it to him. These things were not available to ordinary people, so they persuaded him to eat. Jia County Magistrate swallowed his saliva and said, "We're almost there? Okay, let's go faster." Faster. Seeing that Jia County Magistrates no longer asked for food, the Yamen runners were relieved. They shouted and the team moved faster. In fact, if they wanted to, they could have arrived before dark. In order to give Zhangzhe Zhuangzi more time to prepare, they delayed until now. The county magistrates in the carriage were not feeling well. They were also cold and tired. When the carriage arrived at Zhuangzi, except for the occasional dog barking, there was only the sound of the carriage wheels rolling on the snow. Jia County magistrates lifted the curtain and looked outside. In the darkness he saw a light along the road. He asked the Yamen runners outside, "Why is that light still on? Could it be that someone is walking?" "Sir, that's the other side of the small bridge. It's where the Zhang family and Wang family live in Zhuangzi. Every once in a while, a lantern will be lit to illuminate the road," the Yamen runner said. In his heart, he was thinking that if someone came to make trouble, they would avoid the places where the lanterns could illuminate and look for dark places. However, those dark places were where the Miao protection team was monitoring. "I heard that there's a market here. Is it still open now?" Jia County magistrates thought for a while, but could not figure out who would walk on the road in Zhuangzi at night. He could only ask about other things. "Yes, it will be the new year in a few days. There will be more people coming to trade and buy things. There are also merchants coming from other places to buy pork. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi has started to kill pigs." When the Yamen runner talked about Zhangzhe Zhuangzi killing pigs, his face became more excited. When the time came, Zhuangzi would give them some meat. This year there were hundreds of pigs to be killed. Jia County magistrates saw the Yamen runner's expression under the light of the lanterns. He felt uncomfortable. If he were to kill the 2 pigs he raised, the Yamen runner would not be so happy. Is it because it's cheaper to buy things here? Zhangzhe Zhuangzi is so smart. Why doesn't he sell it himself? The Yamen runner shook his head. It's not cheap. The pork here is sold separately. The pork shoulder is put together, the pig head is put together, the ribs and the meat are also put together. If you buy according to this, you will need to spend dozens of copper coins more for a pig. Oh, it's expensive? Then people come here stupidly to buy it? Jia County magistrates could not understand. Of course, you can buy enough in one go here. If you go elsewhere, you will need to pay more for the carriage. There is a carriage company in the county that will send carriages to wait here. Merchants who buy things can directly hire a carriage to take them back. This way they can save half of the travel expenses. The Yamen runner told him everything he knew. Jia County magistrates was happy to hear that the carriage company of Sanshui County was using the carriage company of Sanshui County. At least the commoners could earn more money. Just like what the Yamen runner said yesterday, they would have more money to buy things. He could collect more taxes. The Yamen runner continued, "Sir, don't think that the carriage company only charges the same amount of money as when they go there. You can still earn more. On the way back, you can buy things from other places and sell them at the market here. If you have more things, you can sell them directly to Ergo. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi will work on them and sell them. So in the end, all the money will be earned by Zhangzhe Zhuangzi." Jia County magistrates was unhappy when he thought of Zhangzhe Zhuangzi making money. "Yes, sir. Here we are. Do you want to cross the bridge first? Or do you want to go directly to Between the Clouds and the Water restaurant?" Several buildings have been built at Between the Clouds and the Water, but they are not fully repaired yet. Only the original one can be used for business. The Yamen runner asked when the carriage came to a place where the roads were divided. Jia County magistrates hesitated and said, "Don't cross the bridge today. Let's go to the restaurant and ask them to serve the signature dishes." "Oh, I forgot to bring money today." Jia County magistrates deliberately said the second half of the sentence. He wanted to make the Zhang family poor. The Yamen runner understood the county magistrate's intention and said, "Sir, you don't have to worry about money. Just like before, you just need to eat." Well, the family in Sanshui County is good. Jia County magistrates only felt happy at times like this. These days, every time he went out to eat, he specially picked the signature dishes. The more expensive, the better. He felt like he was taking revenge on the Zhang family. When the carriage arrived at between the clouds and the water, there was no more snow. The yellow sand covered the ground, giving people a clean and tidy feeling. Jia County magistrates deliberately wore his official uniform today to let the people in Zhangjiazhuangzi know that he came for them this time. He also knew that even if he didn't wear it, they would know that he was here. There were so many spies around him. "Sir, you are here. Please come in. We will serve you on the second floor." The waiter came out to welcome him. When he saw that the new county magistrate of Sanshui County was here, he quickly greeted him. Chapter 231. When the Jia County magistrate saw that the waiter was not surprised at all, he knew that the news of his arrival had already been leaked. He was not in the mood to pursue this matter, so he followed the waiter into the restaurant. When they reached the door, another waiter came up to them and led them upstairs. "Let's go and eat." The Jia County magistrates went to a room on the second floor that had a view of the outside. He told the Yamen runners that he was going to eat alone. The Yamen runners obeyed and left. Their meals were already prepared, so they did not want to eat with the county magistrates. The waiter immediately placed the 4 dishes on the table. They were all cold plates with 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetable dishes. The hot dishes were still on the table and would be served soon. When they were about to leave, they were stopped by the Jia County magistrates. "I'm here today because I have something to ask. You stay by my side and don't lie. Otherwise, I'll leave a place for you in the prison." "Understood. Sir, please ask. I'll tell you everything I know." The waiter showed a frightened expression and replied respectfully. The Jia County magistrates liked to see the waiter like this. He smiled and pointed at a plate of garlic and cucumber on the table with his chopsticks and asked, "Do you know where this cucumber comes from?" "Yes, it's specially planted in Zhangjiazhuangzi. It's picked every day and is sent to the restaurant. Try it, it tastes good." The waiter bowed and answered. He stepped forward and poured the warm wine into the cup in front of the Jia County magistrates. The Jia County magistrates took a sip of the wine and picked up a piece of cucumber with a lot of garlic and threw it into his mouth. He chewed it carefully. Wei Wei nodded and said, "Good. This garlic is spicy but not spicy. The cucumber is clear but not cold. How do you make it?" "Sir, I don't know how to make it. Master and I is in charge of this. I'll ask for you. My lord, please try this eggplant. This little one knows that the eggplant is first steamed in a pot. After it has cooled down, it is mixed with sauce, chopped green onions and coriander. The skin of the eggplant has been peeled, and it is still tender when eaten." The waiter shook his head this time and introduced a new dish to Jia County magistrates. The Jia County magistrates was just asking. Even if he knew, he wouldn't make it himself. He nodded and said, "Is this beef tendon? Do you often have beef here?" The shop assistant nodded, then shook his head and replied, "It's the tendons of a cow's hoof. You can't eat it on a normal day. Sir, since you're here, please take it out. Ever since there's a mountain behind Zhuangzi, it's always dangerous if someone herds cows there. The Zhang family and Wang family have already warned us to be extra careful." "Really? Of course it's true. Otherwise, sir, you can lock me up in the prison and make the guards not give me any food to eat," the worker promised. The Jia County magistrates looked at the shop assistant and was both angry and amused. Prison? Maybe it was better to be in prison than outside. Would the Yamen runners listen to him? The shop assistant was not honest. He looked around and saw a calligraphy painting hanging on the wall. It was a painting of winter plum blossoms proudly standing in the snow. It was an ordinary painting, but it had a bit of character. There was a poem on it. "Winter plum blossoms are not proud of the snow. Life is filled with happiness." The heart is filled with autumn blossoms, and the snow is added. Not good, this poem is not good. There are 4 straight lines and 4 straight lines. It should be changed to the heart is filled with snow powder, and the autumn blossoms are added. What do you think? The Jia County magistrate saw Zhang Zhong's signature, and knew that it was the head of Zhangjie Zhuangzi who found fault with it. The shop assistant looked at it blankly. After a while he said, "Sir, you have good taste. Others can't see it." "Sir, what is 4 straight lines? I don't understand." "I will tell Steward Zhang later and ask him to change the poem." "Sir, why don't you take a look at the painting?" "Well, you can learn it later. You won't understand even if I tell you. It's a painting. The plum blossoms in the painting are blooming too early. Why is there only pink and not white? White is the only way to contrast with the snow. It's a mistake." The Jia County magistrate said reservedly. Yes, my lord is right. There should be white flowers. Even if some of the flowers are pink, when the snow falls it will be white. My lord, look at this." The shop assistant followed up with flattery, and pointed to another poem on the wall. This poem was written in the style of a king. The Jia County magistrates turned to look and saw that it was also a painting. There was a poem beside the painting. Plum blossoms at the corner of the wall, blooming alone in the cold. I know it's not the snow in the distance, but the fragrance comes. He shook his head and said, "That's not right. Why do the words look so soft? Oh, it's not elegant. It's definitely not. Oh, it's also written by Zhang Zhong. He changed the brush too quickly. It needs to be changed. The plum blossoms in the painting are also not good. There should be snow on this side of the wall. Can't just be the wall." "Shop assistant, tell me, how can the plum blossoms at the corner of the wall smell the fragrance of the flowers from afar? The wind is blocked by the wall. It's a mistake. It can't be a poem at all." "Sir, this is not written by master. There are a few small words below. Look carefully. Below Zhang Zhong, is it written daughter-in-law Wang Wan?" The shop assistant pointed and said, "Oh, so it's a little girl. No wonder he didn't think about the wall blocking the wind when he wrote it." The Jia County magistrates was now more certain of his words. Before the shop assistant could continue, he saw another painting at the side and laughed. "What painting is this?" The plum blossoms were drawn into a big tree by him. The branches and leaves are lush. Interesting. This poem, the flowers are swaying and falling, alone and beautiful. It occupies the amorous feelings of the small garden. The sparse shadows are slanted, the water is shallow, and the fragrance floats in the evening. The frosty birds steal a glance first, and the pink butterflies know how to unite and break their souls. Fortunately, there's a slight recitation that can be compared, and there's no need to be good at combining gold and gold. Not good. After the Jia County magistrates finished looking at the painting, he looked at the poem again. The words were even worse. He also shook his head, curled his lips, and said disdainfully, pointing to the poem and saying to the shop assistant, "Look, it says that the other flowers are all withered, but it's still blooming. Since it occupies the amorous feelings, why isn't it planted in the small garden? Look again. It's such a cold day. Wouldn't the water be frozen? Since it's dusk, it's the scene of the sun and the moon. Where is the sun and the moon? Where is the frost? The latter part is even worse. Let's not talk about it. Oh, let me see. Is this the son of Zhang Zhong? Is it that Xiao Bao? Sure enough, he's just a kid. He doesn't know anything. Sir, you're right. I don't understand. This lousy poem is just hanging here to amuse people. Sir, I'll bring the dishes for you." The shop assistant continued to flatter him. Anyway, as long as it was the Jia County magistrates, he was right. When he heard the sound of footsteps in the corridor, he knew that it was the delivery of the dishes. He quickly ran to the door. He took the tray with 4 hot dishes on it and brought them to the Jia County magistrates. He arranged them one by one, returned the tray, filled it with wine, and waited at the side for a reply. The Jia County magistrates picked up a piece of roasted venison and swallowed it with wine. He nodded and said, "These dishes are very good. It's a pity that the decoration of the surroundings is not good enough, especially the 3 paintings. The 3 poems on the paintings should not be displayed. Oh, this is between the clouds and the water. It's fine if it's displayed." He wanted to ask the shop assistant to take it down, but he suddenly remembered where he was. Even if he took it down now, it would be hung up after he left. The shop assistant continued to agree. Sir, you're right. It should be taken down. Why don't you leave a calligraphy piece for others to see? Okay, quickly get me a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. The Jia County magistrates, who was very happy with the praise, agreed without thinking. The shop assistant hurried out and came back after a while. He pulled over another small table specially used for writing, spread out the paper and ground the ink. When it was almost done, the Jia County magistrates picked up the brush and dipped it in the ink. He pondered for a while and said, "I'll only write a poem about plum blossoms." Then he put the brush down and began to write. It seemed that he was in the peak state of art. After he finished writing the poem, he took out a small square stamp from his chest and pressed it on the ink pad next to him. He asked the shop assistant, "What do you think?" "Good. Sir, your words are really extraordinary. Just by looking at it, you can feel the spirit of plum blossoms." The shop assistant showed a look of surprise. His eyes were wide open and his hands and feet were trembling with excitement. The Jia County magistrates said with a smile, "It's just so. I'm tired today, so my writing is a little worse than usual. What do you think of this poem?" "It's well written. It's a good poem. From this poem, I see plum blossoms competing to bloom." Countless tourists stopped to watch and admire the scene. "Sir, you're really amazing. With only one poem you can make people. Which part of it is open?" "It's obviously budding, and there aren't so many tourists. There are only two people sitting opposite each other and drinking." The Jia County magistrates was a little dissatisfied with the shop assistant's words. His face darkened and he stopped the shop assistant from continuing. The shop assistant hurriedly moved forward and nodded fiercely. He said, "I misread it just now. Please forgive me, sir. Now I know. It's written that there is snow falling on the branches of plum blossoms, but the plum blossoms haven't bloomed. Flower buds are growing there. There are also two heroes eating meat and drinking wine. The wind is blowing, and the snow on the branches is falling down. The two people are crying. What snow falling on the branches? There's no snow and there's no wind. A man and a woman sitting opposite each other. Do you know or not?" The Jia County magistrates was furious. He stared at the shop assistant and asked. The shop assistant lowered his head and replied in a low voice, "Sir, I can't read. I don't know what you've written. Why don't you read it to me? I'll remember it even if I forget other things in the future." "So you can't read? That's fine. Listen to me. This poem is, winter has come, but it hasn't snowed yet. The plum blossoms are budding, but they don't know. A man and a woman are singing to each other. They want to see the flowing water, but there's no river of ice. There's regret in warming the wine, but the ice only melts when spring comes. When that time comes, the plum blossoms may bloom." The Jia County magistrates had no choice but to read the poem himself. "Good poem. Sir, your writing is indeed better than others. I won't hide it from you. There are many people reciting poems in this restaurant. I didn't understand them before, but when you read the poem today, I immediately understood. Sir, you really made me speechless. I'll find someone to frame the words right away." The shop assistant's body trembled even more. He went forward and was about to pick up the paper when he was stopped by the Jia County magistrates. "There's no hurry. You can do it after I leave. I still have some things to ask you." The Jia County magistrates happily sat back at the table and finished the wine in his cup in one gulp. Recommend a book. Book ID equals 1589628. Book name equals The Usurper. Chapter 232. The waiter filled up the wine again. When he saw which dish the Jia County magistrates wanted to eat, he helped to bring it forward. The Jia County magistrates drank 3 glasses of wine and ate a few mouthfuls of food. Then he looked back at what he had written and turned to ask the waiter, "Have you seen any outsiders causing trouble here recently? Since I am in charge of protecting this county, I can't let anyone cause trouble in Tuqiao village." In fact, the Jia County magistrates wanted to know if anyone was causing trouble for the Zhang family and the Wang family. If so, he would go and ask them to find out who was behind them. If they were powerful enough, they could deal with them together. The Jia County magistrate's waiter nodded and said, "Sir, you are so smart. You know that there are people causing trouble here. Yes, there are. There have been people causing trouble here at least 4 times in the past few days. Someone really dares to come here? Tell me what kind of people they are. The Jia County magistrates put on a straight face and said angrily, I'll tell you now. My first time in the past few days was the day before yesterday. I had nothing to do on the second floor, so I wanted to walk around the first floor. Guess what happened? There were 3 people sitting by the window and quarreling with the waiter downstairs. Our waiter didn't say anything. It was the 3 people talking. Guess what they said? The waiter looked nervous as if he had encountered something very difficult. The Jia County magistrates listened carefully and asked, What did they say? That guy was very fierce. They said, Why didn't we let them eat? Why didn't we let them eat? Why didn't we let them take away the leftovers? In the end, we had no choice but to give them some leftover steamed buns. When they left this time, I was scared. I know. 3 beggars came. Didn't they leave after giving them steamed buns? Then don't say it again. Say it again. The Jia County magistrates did not have the slightest interest in the 3 beggars. It was only between the clouds and the water that was easy to talk to. Otherwise, he would have already beaten them up. Why would he still give them steamed buns? This was useless to him. Counting on these 3 beggars to help him deal with Zhangzhe Zhuangzi was impossible. He interrupted the waiter and asked him to continue. The waiter nodded. The next time? That would be the noon of the day before yesterday. When this humble one was guarding the second floor, a few people came up. They were all well dressed. That guy, the first one, directly gave this humble one 6 copper coins. This humble one was so happy that this humble one specifically told them a few signature dishes. But when I served the dishes, guess what happened to that guy? You definitely won't be able to guess it. That guy, those people, when they look at the dish, they look at me. When they look at me, they look at the dish. I don't even know if I'm myself or the dish. I don't even know if the dish is the dish or... Pick the important ones. The Jia County magistrates frowned. Okay, pick the important ones. That is, they felt that this humble one was harming them, so they fed the worms to them. Those guys, their eyes looked as if they wanted to eat this humble one. But this humble one is not a dish. The humble one is the humble one, and the dish is... Well, don't be angry, this humble one will continue. This humble one is used to it. What's going on? This dish is stir-fried chives and sandworms. Sandworms are insects. They grew up in the sea. When the Zhang family's farmstead went there to help deal with the locust plague, they went there to collect them. If they were alive, they would be raised, and if they were dead, they would be dried. When it's time to eat them, they would be served with warm water. This dish is delicious. My master said that eating this dish is good for the body. They don't know, so they asked this humble one to eat the whole plate of stir-fried spoon worms. This humble one can't eat it normally, so I'll serve you some later. What do you think? The waiter explained patiently. Fortunately, County Magistrate Jia's expression returned to its original state after he finished explaining the matter. What happened after that? The Jia County magistrates was mainly thinking about whether those people had any conflicts with the restaurant, to what extent, and who was their family's backer. After that, they said that they had wronged this humble one and gave this humble one 6 copper coins. They gave this humble one a total of 12 copper coins. They also paid for the meal. Sir, you really don't want to eat the spoon worms? Although they look scary, if you want to eat them again after you eat them, they're worth 10 taels of silver per plate. The waiter gestured and tried to persuade the Jia County magistrates to eat. The Jia County magistrates felt uncomfortable when he heard this. Who would eat that? He waved his hand and said, No, I'll save you some money. Tell me about the last 2 times. The waiter showed a regretful look. He rearranged the dishes and said, The 3rd time was yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, when it was almost night time, a man was eating on the 1st floor. He came from the market and didn't have much money. He only ordered some dried tofu and a bowl of wine. After he finished eating, he said that his stomach hurt and ran to the outhouse in the back. He came here many times and kept saying that our dried tofu wasn't good. He wanted to sue us, but our dried tofu has always been the best. It's impossible that there's something wrong with it. And then? He died? The Jia County magistrates asked excitedly. No, we have a resident doctor in the restaurant. How could we let him die? The doctor came immediately and examined his illness. He said that it had nothing to do with the dried tofu and that it was because he ate something else. After that, the doctor asked him what he ate and said that he didn't want to live anymore. He bought some small shrimps at the market. In order to save money, he skewered them with sticks and roasted them. He didn't roast them well and drank a lot of cold water. The doctor gave him medicine and the restaurant paid for it. Fortunately, he came to the restaurant to eat. Otherwise, he would have died on the way home. I followed the doctor to take a look. The thing that came out was so smelly. I almost fell into it. Sir, let me tell you what the thing that came out was. If you look at it from a distance, don't talk about it. It's the fourth time. The Jia County magistrates also vomited and tried not to think about it. The waiter was obedient and didn't say anything. He coughed softly and continued. The fourth time was this morning. 2 people came and ate on the first floor. After they finished eating, they complained that the food was bad and that the heat was too strong. So the heat was too strong? Seems that they were picky. The Jia County magistrates became interested again. Usually people like that were either rich or noble. What did they use to cook? For breakfast there was soy milk, tofu pudding, and the restaurant's signature snack, rice crust. After the rice was steamed, there was some leftover rice under the pot. They said that the heat was too strong. If they had known, they wouldn't have sent it. Sir, don't you think they were making trouble? In the end they said that the meal was free. Then they happily finished it and didn't leave anything behind. They saved 4 copper coins. The waiter said unhappily, as if he looked down on the 2 people. That's it? That's it? The Jia County magistrates gave up for the last time. What could he expect from people who caused trouble for the sake of saving 4 copper coins? That's it. Sir, do you want to try the rice crust? You can eat it as a snack. It's crunchy. The waiter continued to push the dishes. The Jia County magistrates was not in the mood to eat. He had asked for so long in vain. He shook his head and said, I don't want to taste it. You can leave now. After I finish eating, I'll find a yard to rest in the back. Okay, sir, please eat. I'll go and frame the poem you wrote. The waiter didn't forget the words. He walked over and rolled it up, then left after saying that. The Jia County magistrate sat there and ate a few mouthfuls of food and drank some wine. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. The waiter just now was a little too easy to talk to. If it was another place, it wouldn't be wrong. But didn't the restaurant between the clouds and the water know that he was not on good terms with their owner? When he heard him ask if there was anyone causing trouble, it was impossible for him to be so straightforward. He must be lying. He secretly hated that even a waiter dared to lie to him. The Jia County magistrate sped up his eating. After a while he finished eating, put down his chopsticks, got up and left. When he reached the first floor, the yamen runners had already finished eating. It seemed that they had even drunk some wine. Needless to say, they didn't need to spend a single copper coin. The Zhang family had paid for the meal for free. Sir, have you finished eating? The backyard is ready. The yamen runner came close and whispered, "Okay, let's go." The Jia County magistrate snorted. Under the guidance of the yamen runner, they walked to the backyard. Someone had already hung up the lanterns here. It looked really good. The snow in the yard had been swept away and it was clean. Sir, please come in. Someone will serve you. The yamen runner was not going to go in at this time. The Jia County magistrates nodded. When he was about to go in, a greeting came from the side. Isn't this the county magistrate? Sir, I didn't expect to see you here. The Jia County magistrates turned his head in confusion. The yamen runner surrounded him and looked vigilant. Do you know this person? The Jia County magistrates looked at the person and didn't know him. He turned his head to ask the yamen runners next to him. The yamen runners also shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Sir, you may not know me, but I know you. When you took office, there were so many people welcoming you. I was among them. I am not from Sanshui County. I am from the Han family of Huayuan County in Zhuangzi. I have something important to discuss with you. The person introduced himself. When he saw that the Jia County magistrates was still confused, he said, Zhuangzi used to be at odds with the Zhang family and the Zhuangzi County magistrates. I want to ask you to help me reconcile. I wonder if you can help me? The Jia County magistrates was happy when he heard this. Discord? Not reconciling? Good. Reconciling? He must reconcile. Immediately, he looked at the yamen runners next to him and said, "You guys go and rest. I will have a chat with this person. Hurry up and leave." "Sir, you have to be careful. It will be troublesome if there is a mistake." The yamen runner said with concern, "Well, be careful. You guys search him first. Leave 2 people to guard outside the house." The Jia County magistrates wanted to have a good talk with this person, so he hurriedly urged them. Recommend a book. Frowny Facebook ID equals 1107362. Book name equals The Model of the Way of the King. Chapter 233. Jia County magistrates was anxious, so he ordered the yamen runners to search for the man quickly. He didn't want to waste any time, so he entered the courtyard with the man and found the study room. There were 2 yamen runners guarding the door. He sat down some distance away from the man and asked, "Who is the Zhuangzi of the Han family?" "Sir, the Zhuangzi of the Han family is the Zhuangzi of the Minister of Deliberation, Han Feng. My master knows that you are in a difficult position in Sanshui County, so he specially ordered me to come and talk to you. If you need the help of the Zhuangzi, please don't hesitate. The Yuan family will also advance and retreat with the Han family. In the future, if you need help, you can send someone to find me. I also have a long rented courtyard here waiting for you. My name is Han Wangzhu. As long as someone has your official seal, I will send it to my master." The man introduced himself as well as the whole story. His voice was very low, so that the 2 yamen runners at the door couldn't hear him. "Good, that's great." Han Wangzhu was finally happy. With 2 Zhuangzi helping him, he believed that he could overthrow the Zhang family and the Wang family. At that time, who would dare to take away all the money in the yamen? If he could seize the money of the 2 families when he overthrew them, then he could also seize their money and the recipes for hatching chickens. With these 2 things, it would be difficult for him not to be rich. There was also the dock at Little Luoshui, a place where he could earn a lot of money every day. Thinking about it, Jia County magistrates couldn't control himself and laughed. Han Wangzhu also laughed. He also had a plan in mind. After waiting for Jia County magistrates to stop, Han Wangzhu took out something from his arms and gave it to Jia County magistrates. He said, "Sir, I know that you have a hard time here, so my master ordered me to give this to you. There is a place not far from your yamen that sells porcelain called Chongqing. Take this there and you can exchange it for 5,000 strings of coins." Jia County magistrates listened to the man and looked at the thing in front of him. He rubbed his hands excitedly. This was the first money he had received in Sanshui County. Thinking of this, he became very angry. There were so many merchants in the county, but none of them gave him money. They didn't even care about his wine and wine. They only cared about his daily expenses. What was the difference between this and raising livestock? The Han family was better. Just as he was about to say something, Han Wangzhu took out another thing from his arms and put it next to the previous one. He said, "Sir, this is what the Yuan family asked me to deliver. There is a pawn shop next to Chongqing porcelain called Wufeng. Take this and you can get 8,000 strings of coins there." "Well, I will take care of the 2 businesses in your family. If there are other businesses here, as long as you choose a place, I will also help." Jia County magistrates tried to control his trembling hands. He picked up the 2 things in front of him, looked at the door, and carefully put them in his arms. These 2 things were worth 13,000 strings of coins. If he only saved up with his salary, he would never be able to get this much money in his life. Damn Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Why didn't he let him keep some of his salary? He must take revenge. Well, find an opportunity. When? As County Magistrate Jia pondered, he suddenly thought of the Han family and the Yuan family, so he asked, "I wonder if you 2 families have any good ideas that can improve the Zhang family's farmstead?" Han Wangzhu nodded with a smile. "Sir, I understand. Yes, but there is no hurry. You should use this money to find your own people. You can't always use others, right? If I'm not wrong, some people have heard about your meeting with me today. Those people can't be underestimated. Yes, find your own people. Sigh. Now everything we do will spread to the ears of others. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if they know. As long as you make the necessary arrangements, this official can help you." Jia County magistrates thought about how his every move was being watched. He felt a little sad and the hatred in his heart grew stronger. Han Wangzhu stood up. If that's the case, I'll go back first. I live in the 6th courtyard. Sir, if you have something to do, send someone here. Please don't worry about it. Okay, I'll remember it. Take care, take care. Jia County magistrates stood up to see him out. When he reached the door, he looked at the 2 yamen runners standing there and snorted. He walked them out of the courtyard, then turned back and said to the 2 yamen runners, "There's nothing to do here. You can find a place to rest." The 2 yamen runners didn't say that they would stay. They told Jia County magistrates to be careful and left together. When Jia County magistrates was alone in the study, he took out the things in his arms and looked at them. These 2 small things were worth 13,000 strings of coins. As he looked at them, Jia County magistrates felt that something was wrong. Why would the 2 families take out so much money to deal with Zhang Wang and Zhuangzi? They must have other plans. Yes, there was also the method of hatching chicks and the method of growing wood ear. What should he do? Should he give it to them or not? It was said that the Zhang family's farmstead was good at farming. The same seeds would grow differently after they were planted. This was also a recipe. There were 3 recipes, so shouldn't they be given a share? He wanted to grow the wood ear and give the other 2 to them. Yes, that's it. When the time comes, he had to be careful of them. He just didn't know how they could make Zhang Wang and Zhang Wang collapse. As for the people in the yamen, he had to find a few obedient ones. With so many yamen runners, he did not believe that they would all be bought over by the Zhang family's manner. Even if he had to fork out 2,000 strings of coins, it would still be worth it. Once the Zhang and Wang families collapsed, he would be able to get as much money as he wanted. Jia County magistrates fell asleep as he thought about it. Light snoring sounds could be heard. It was the first time in a few days that he had a good sleep. It was the first time he didn't dream that Zhangzhe Zhuangzi's people would drive him out of Sanshui County and make him leave with his tail between his legs. Jia County magistrates met the Han family. Just as Han Wangzhu said, the 2 of them had just discussed a few words when the news was sent back to Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were sleeping. Steward Zhang had been waiting for them to wake up to study before he came to report. It seems that Han Yongyao doesn't want to deal with us alone. His family also wants to take our good things. As for the Yuan family, you said you weren't in Sanshui County and had to come here to cause trouble. You don't have the right geographical location and people. I don't think you can find the right time either. Wang Wan, who was grinding ink, said after hearing what had happened. Yes, and there's still 13,000 strings of coins to give to Jia County magistrates. What a big deal. Since that's the case, we'll keep the money. We'll organize an activity tomorrow morning for fun. You want money? Dream on. Once you get a little, you'll want more. Those yamen runners also need to be arranged so that he has a chance to deal with us. Humph, don't you know whose home field this is? Don't you know how to check that study room? If it weren't for the fear of causing trouble for the restaurant, we would have taken out the things directly. Sleep, sleep, sleep well. Zhang Xiaobao spread the paper and muttered. He was used to fighting, but he didn't want to spend more energy on other things before his father's imperial examination. There were still many things to be arranged in the capital. The only thing that could make him feel relieved was that he had left some excuses for Jia County magistrates. Wang Wan put the ink slab between the 2 of them, took the copybook, and began to write according to the words on it. At the same time, she said, should we get rid of Jia County magistrates or continue to restrict him and let him be idle? Don't get rid of him first. Let's wait until the Han family and Yuan family finish their moves and no fear. Then we'll let him go. If he stays here all the time, the development of Sanshui County will slow down. Many projects that rely on the support of the government can't start. It's annoying. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he took 2 deep breaths and calmed down. He also picked up the brush and practiced calligraphy. For the time being, he didn't want to think about other things and devoted himself to writing. The next day, the sky was much clearer than the previous 2 days. One could even see the white clouds slowly swaying in the sky. The sound of reading could be heard in the school again. The snow in the Zhang family's farmstead was all cleared away and allowed to slowly melt in the fields. The artificial lake between the clouds and the water had more water, but it hadn't frozen yet. The people in Zhuangzi were also clearing the snow. They only needed to clear the snow on the roads. They didn't need to clear the snow in the fields. When the snow melted next spring, there would be no need to worry about the drought. Jia County magistrates woke up early in the morning and was served breakfast. When he was about to leave, a burst of firecrackers suddenly sounded from the small lake. Jia County magistrates curiously opened the window and looked over. A gust of cold wind blew in and made him shiver. He exhaled and slightly adapted to the temperature. Then he looked at the small lake again. He saw a few people in the small pavilion in the middle. The firecrackers were still going off. The corridor connecting the pavilion hadn't been repaired yet. A lot of snow had accumulated on the pavilion. There was even light shining from the side of the pavilion. It should be frozen. This was strange. If there was no ice anywhere else, why was there ice there? Come in, buddy. Tell me what's going on there. Jia County magistrates didn't understand and called for the buddy. As soon as he finished speaking, the waiter came in. He looked down and said to County Magistrate Jia, "Sir, there are people fishing. They said that they want to catch the snow alone. Our young master and young lady are also there. They have no choice but to accompany them for fear of being frozen. But young Master Li is there, so we have to accompany them." Good sentence. Fishing alone in the snow is indeed a special feeling. Mr. Li? Which Mr. Li? Jia County magistrates thought about this sentence and said good twice. Then he suddenly asked about Mr. Li, the one who just bought the land over there. Mr. Li from Zhuangzi. Even the old master is afraid of him. Mr. Li Wang Sun. Mr. Li. The buddy pointed down and answered. Ah, it's him. Oh good. I also want to go down there to fish. How do I get there? Jia County magistrates finally understood who it was. It was a good opportunity. He couldn't not go and have a look. At the same time, he thought about why he didn't consider going to Zhuangzi to have a look when he was ready to leave after eating. The buddy said awkwardly, "Sir, it's cold outside." Chapter 234. Jia County magistrates originally thought that once he finished speaking, the waiter would immediately go to arrange it. He didn't expect that the waiter would say such a thing. He looked sideways at the waiter and asked, "Are the others not cold?" "Sir, our young master and young lady are forced to go. Master and madam are also worried. What if they fall into the water? Sir, you are different. What if something happens to you? What will happen to the people in the county?" The waiter avoided his eyes and leaned back. This movement was immediately noticed by Jia County magistrates. He thought to himself, "So you don't want me to see my imperial nephew? Humph! The more you don't want me to go, the more I want to go. Who does Zhangzhe Zhuangzi think he is? You don't want me to see him so I can disappear?" "Sir, aren't you in a hurry to go back to the yamen?" the waiter asked at the right time. This made Jia County magistrates even more determined. He stared at the waiter and said, "Why do you still dare to control me? I order you to let me go to the pavilion immediately. Otherwise I will kill you on the spot." Jia County magistrates wanted to lock the waiter in prison, but he felt that this wouldn't scare the waiter. If he locked the waiter in prison, wouldn't the Zhang family treat him well? Yes, this little one will go right away. "Milord, we have to take a boat." Others go up and use their own boats. "Milord, can you take the Zhang family's boat?" The servant was so scared that he was about to cry, and whispered, "Yes, no, I will go down and find a boat myself. When I came here I saw people fishing, so I will go and borrow a boat from them." Jia County magistrates was about to agree, but he was afraid that the Zhang family would do something to the boat. He changed his mind and went down himself. When he woke up in the morning and came here to eat, there were people fishing in the river. When he went out to take a look, he saw that they were still casting nets. If he borrowed a boat from here, he could directly enter the lake. He walked to the shore and shouted to the fishermen, "Fishermen, come here. This official has something to ask of you." Several yamen runners beside him also shouted. The fishermen over there didn't seem to want to come over. They hesitated and moved closer. Jia County magistrates was still wearing his official uniform. He felt that no one in Sanshui County was not afraid of him. Of course, except for the Zhang family and Wang family. The fishermen came to the shore. He looked at the Jia County magistrates and asked, "Who are you? Why are you looking for me? Tell him who I am." The Jia County magistrates whispered to the Yamen runner beside him. The Yamen runner immediately stepped forward and shouted, "This is the county magistrate, your parent official." "How can the county magistrate be my parental official? I am not from Sanshui County. I saw that there was a lot of fish here so I can exchange them in the market." The fisherman didn't buy it at all. It seemed that he was very stubborn. Usually, when people met officials, no matter where they were, they would be afraid. "I don't care where you are from. Lend us your boat. Here are 5 coins. I will return it to you after you use it. Come down quickly." The Yamen runner next to him rushed over with his hand on the handle of his knife. He pulled the fisherman down, stuffed 5 coins into his hand, and took the boat. The fisherman seemed to be very angry. He stared at the Jia County magistrates and his people, his chest rising and falling rapidly. The others didn't care about him. The Yamen runner took the boat and said to the Jia County magistrates, "Sir, let me take you there. I know how to push the boat." As the Yamen runner spoke, he picked up the bamboo pole and waited for the Jia County magistrates to get on the boat. The Jia County magistrates, who was about to get on the boat, suddenly stopped. This Yamen runner was the one he stared at outside the door yesterday. He didn't trust anyone now. And he still had more than 13,000 strings of coins in his arms. What if this Yamen runner deliberately pushes me into the water, and then takes my things? The Jia County magistrates thought. At this moment he saw that everyone wanted to rob his money, so he said, "No need. I will handle it myself. I will show you what I am capable of. I used to be a good hand." County Magistrate Jia caught the pole in his hand and jumped onto the boat. He smiled at the people on the shore and pushed hard. The boat was really pushed away by him. Looking at the stable appearance, it was indeed not bad. After he pushed the boat out for some distance, the fisherman also left. He went to the stable next to the Shui Yun Tavern, found a horse and leaped onto it. He turned his head to look in the direction of the Zhang family's farmstead. His eyes reddened, and he stroked the pouch he was carrying on his back. He abruptly turned his head back and whipped the horse's buttocks as hard as he could. 1 horse and 1 man, they gradually disappeared into the distance. 2 children, 1 old and 1 young, stood on Zhuangzi. They didn't know if they could see the leaving horse. The younger one looked up and asked, "Brother, when will father come back?" "At least 1 year, at most 2 years. From today onwards, our mother and grandfather will work in the inner court. We have to study hard and wait for father to come back. Let him see us." The older child touched his younger brother's head and pulled him back to school. The younger brother followed obediently. "Brother, can we be registered?" "Yes, you can be registered in the Zhang mansion. You have a death contract. You will be paid for your studies." The older brother nodded. The Jia County magistrates didn't know that a father-son farewell had just played out. He was still holding his pole and walking towards the pavilion. He was thinking about what to say later. Although this nephew was the son of the emperor's brother, he was very good with words. At least his father was a provincial governor. He couldn't say anything wrong. He had to greet him first. He couldn't deliberately be so close to him. He had to stand beside him and shout as long as the nephew caught a fish. It would have been better if he didn't use the whip just now. He didn't know if the fish would have been scared away. Thinking about how to deal with it later, the Jia County magistrates put more effort into holding the pole. At this time they had already entered the small lake. In a short while they would reach the pavilion. There were a few boats parked there. From here, they could see 2 children holding hands and accompanying a slightly older child. The Jia County magistrates was a little anxious when he saw this. He was afraid that the nephew would like the 2 children, so he used all his strength to hold the pole back. He pulled the pole back and used all his strength to hold the pole on the other side. As soon as he held the pole, the Jia County magistrates felt that the direction of the boat was a little wrong. It seemed to be slanted. His first thought was that the boat hit a stone or a wooden stake in the water. Just as he was about to put the pole back in order to correct the direction, the boat suddenly turned over and pulled him down. The Jia County magistrates wanted to swim up. Unfortunately, he was no longer the swimsuit he used to wear when he was a child. His body didn't have that much strength. He was wearing the beautiful official uniform with a boat buckled on it. He felt stuffy in his chest and couldn't help but open his eyes. It was chaotic everywhere. The cold water hit his eyes, making them sore and painful. Before the Jia County magistrate's vision turned black and he fainted, he finally saw a blurry figure in the water approaching him. The moment the boat turned over, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan shouted at the same time, "Oh no, someone fell into the water. Come and save him." All of a sudden, many people appeared on the shore, and many people jumped into the water. Li Sun was invited to fish early in the morning, so he naturally had a few bodyguards by his side. Just now, he had already seen a person dressed in official robes walking towards him. He felt irritated and did not want to interact with these officials. Why would a young marquis want to meet a local official for no reason? This was also the reason why he only contacted Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but didn't want to see Father Zhang and Father Wang. But he couldn't not save people, so he said to the bodyguards beside him, "Save people? If you don't have the ability, why are you rowing the boat yourself? Look at his uniform, he looks like a 7th grade official. Where did he come from?" The bodyguards beside him jumped down to save people. Zhang Xiaobao said, "I know, it's the county magistrate. The new county magistrate of Sanshui County." "Humph. So it's that Jia Shan and Jia Yiheng that everyone went to pick up? The higher-ups also know. Isn't it harming me if such a popular official comes to see me? Those who don't know will think that I asked him to come. How disheartening." Li Sun was furious. If his father knew about this, he would be scolded. But what did it have to do with him? He felt that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were interesting and wanted to come and play with them. Usually no one could treat him and play with him like Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao laughed in his heart and said, "Maybe he came to see Zhuangzi. County magistrate, it's not wrong to look at the place under your jurisdiction. Your Zhuangzi is also in Sanshui County. I don't want him to see it. It's over. In a few days my father will write a letter to scold me. Maybe he will even ask me to go back. There's no meaning in the mansion at all," Li Sun said worriedly. He couldn't wait to make Jia County magistrates disappear. Zhang Xiaobao persuaded him. "It's almost the new year. Otherwise you have to go back. Wait for the letter. You can prepare for 2 more days. It's just before the new year." Li Sun did not complain this time. He stared at the surface of the water. It did not take long before County Magistrate Jia was fished out of the water. His head was facing the water. After a while someone shouted from the boat, "Young master, he's alive. Wan Wan will wake up soon." Li Sun looked at the person who was pulled out of the water with a sullen face. Wei Wei nodded and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "He was saved by someone around me. You can only send him to my place. We'll come back another day." "Okay, we'll come back another day. Cuckoo and I will go back too." Zhang Xiaobao agreed and jumped back into the boat with Wang Wan. They asked someone to row them back. The others also dispersed. When they were about to reach the shore, a head appeared between the boat and the shore. After throwing the 2 things into the boat, the person sank again. Zhang Xiaobao quickly put the things away and looked around. He was relieved when he saw that no one was watching. The person in the water was sent by him. He was the one who was the best at swimming on Zhuangzi. He took a few pigs to breathe in the water and connected a rope to a big stone below to prevent his body from floating up. After knocking over the boat, he took the things out of the county magistrate's arms and hid. He dragged the stone for a distance under the water to avoid being seen. Zhang Xiaobao's boat came over. He handed over the things at the appointed place. He sank again and came up from another place. There was a car parked there. The doctor, the boiled ginger water, the stove, and the bedding were all prepared. He had to rest for a few days. Chapter 235. As soon as they reached the shore, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hurried back home and took out the items. One was made of wood with a clear texture, and the other was made of jade with a blood-red substance inside. Both were halves. It's all thanks to Li Sun that we were able to bring her away. Otherwise, after saving her, we wouldn't be able to exchange for these 2 items even if we wanted to. The veins don't match with the other half. Let's send someone to get the money now. The sooner the better. After getting the money, send it to little Luo Shui. Wang Wan looked at the 2 items and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, there are 2 families in Zhuangzi who haven't registered yet. They will come here during the autumn harvest. Like the fishermen, they will leave and come back after some time. His family will enter the inner courtyard directly. Good. Ask him to find someone to help carry the things when he goes to the county. Ask Song Jinggong to arrange for people to switch the items on the boat. When they reach the first dock, they will separate the money and take the land route. When they reach the second dock, they will board different boats. Then they will take the land route again. Let the people who carry the money not know where they are and how many things there are. They will have to change their makeup along the way. Wang Wan arranged how to avoid people's investigation. As long as they left Sanshui County, it would not be easy to investigate. Zhang Xiaobao added, if there are cloth and silk in the money, when it is transported to the capital, ask someone to check it carefully. Don't leave any marks. Arrange it. There was water everywhere, but he could still breathe. It was warm and he did not feel cold at all. What was in front of him? He had horns on his head and was wearing silk. He walked over with a smile. Ah, the Water Dragon King. He saw the Water Dragon King. Oh, he asked him to follow him. Where was this? A palace? What were the boxes inside? It turned out to be gold, silver, and jewels. Oh, they want me to bring them back. That's great. With so much money, I can promote myself to a higher position. Then I can overthrow Zhangzhe Zhuangzi and the Wang family's Zhuangzi. I can become the provincial governor of the prefecture. Little Luoshui's pier will also be mine. So heavy. It's really not easy to carry the boxes back. Someone grab me. Don't steal my money. Don't steal my money. Don't take my money. The Jia County magistrates lying on the couch suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, you're awake? My little prince has instructed me to ask you where you feel unwell when you wake up. What do you want to eat? Beside Jia County magistrate's bed, a person who had just tucked him in saw that he had woken up and asked in an indifferent tone. Only then did Jia County magistrates realize that he was lying down. He looked around and met the person's gaze. He asked, where am I? Li family's Zhuangzi. You fell into the water and were rescued by the little prince's people. He asked you where you feel unwell and what you want to eat. The person serving him was a little dissatisfied with Jia County magistrate's silly look and repeated what he had just said. Jia County magistrates recalled what happened before he fainted and finally understood. He nodded to the person beside him and moved his legs under the blanket. He said, I'm fine. I feel comfortable. Just a little sore. I'm hungry. Do you have porridge? Give me a bowl. Jia County magistrate spoke respectfully. After all, this was the little prince's person. After the person agreed and left, Jia County magistrate suddenly remembered something important. He touched his body with his hands and found that his clothes had been changed. He lifted the blanket and carefully checked. From inside to outside, there was not a single piece of clothing that he had worn before. Jia County magistrates panicked. Where were his clothes? Where were the 2 things inside? The seal was in the hands of the Yamen runner, so he was not afraid of losing it. But where were the 2 things that cost 13,000 strings of cash? Just as he was anxiously looking for his things, the door was pushed open. The person just now came in with a tray and put it on the small table beside the bed. There was a big bowl of porridge and 2 small pickles. That was all. Jia County magistrates was not in the mood to eat at this time. He looked at the person who brought the food and asked bravely, excuse me, where are my clothes? And the things inside? I washed them. You mean the small seal inside, right? There is also the jade pendant hanging on your waist. You can keep it. If you want it, I will give it to you. Who cares about that stupid thing? The waiter said and turned around to leave. Jia County magistrates waited anxiously. After a while, he came back and put the 2 things in front of Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates looked at the 2 things that he did not care if they were lost or not. He asked again, what else? Half a piece of wood and half a piece of jade. I have been carrying them with me. No, just these 2. The little prince would not take your things. When he was changing your clothes, the little prince was beside you. No one dared to take your things. Maybe he dropped them when he saved you and wanted to find someone to get them from the lake. The waiter's face turned ugly. How could he ask for the things after saving someone? Could it be that someone could take them? If he drowned, what else would be precious? It was good enough that he was still alive. Jia County magistrates naturally understood what the waiter meant, but that was 13,000 strings of coins. He believed that no one would keep those two things. If they did not know what they were used for, they would not be worth much. Besides, the little prince was beside him. Could it be that they really fell into the water? But how could he get them out? Unless he drained the water and asked someone to shovel the soil bit by bit. No, that would not do. The Zhang family, Zhuangzi, and the little prince would not agree to let him go. Yes, he had to find Han Wangzhu. What was there to be afraid of if the things were gone? The money was still in those two places. A piece of wood and a piece of jade added up to about 100 strings of coins. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates smiled at the waiter and said, I was anxious. Sorry. May I know what time it is now? It's already 4:45, hurry up and eat. I heard that when you fell, you poured out everything in your stomach, vomiting and spitting. You're lucky to have met my little lord. Otherwise, who would have saved you? The waiter pointed at the porridge and pickles as he spoke. Yes. Thank you, little prince. I'll eat. Jia County magistrates did not dare to say anything else. He was indeed hungry, so he ate the porridge with the pickles. Only after he finished the porridge and pickles did he feel really comfortable. He vomited from top to bottom. There was not a single spot that did not hurt. But in his heart he felt sullen. If the little prince had not been there, how could he have pushed the boat over? However, if he had gone, he would not have capsized, and he would not have lost his things. The people of Zhangjia Zhuangzi would not have saved him. If they had saved him a little later, they would have said that it was not in time. What else could he do? The imperial court would not have said anything. No one had harmed him. No, how could he have capsized in the middle of the lake? Even if there was a wooden stake below, it should have been stuck there. He did not move it at that time. There must be something wrong with the boat, and the fisherman deliberately returned it to him. Yes, that must be it. When he saw the yamen runners dragging him to the shore, he deliberately tampered with the boat and almost caused him to drown. Jia County magistrates found an excuse for capsizing. Even if he did not believe it, someone had to take responsibility for him falling into the water. Otherwise, how could he die in front of the little prince? He could only let the fisherman suffer. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates was in a good mood. He was about to go back and tell Han Wangzhu about the lost things, but he found that his whole body was sore and weak. He could not use his strength. He could only sigh and lie back down. He would leave tomorrow morning. If you are done eating, tell your men. They are still waiting outside the courtyard. The little prince's courtyard is not a place that anyone can enter. The servant did not want to be angry with a person who almost drowned, so he reminded him, Okay, please call one in. Jia County magistrates just remembered that there were still yamen runners. They would not leave him alone and go back to the yamen. After a while, yamen runner came in. When he saw Jia County magistrates, he cried, My lord, you are finally awake. If you did not wake up, what should we do? My lord, please don't be so rash next time. 2 of us swam to save you, but we almost could not get out of the water. The water was cold. Okay, don't cry. Everything is fine now. Did you catch the fisherman who borrowed my boat? He was the one who did something to the boat. Jia County magistrates did not know whether yamen runner was really concerned about him, or worried that he would be implicated. He persuaded him and asked about the fisherman. Yamen runner was stunned. He looked at Jia County magistrates blankly and said, My lord, at that time all of us were watching. How did he do something? No one thought about him. My lord, when you fell into the water, we wanted to get you out. Then we followed you here. How could we find the fisherman? He is not from Sanshui County. How could he not do anything? If he did not do anything, why would my boat capsize? Did I deliberately flip it in front of the little prince and show it to the little prince? It must be that person who did something. You just did not find it. Jia County magistrates insisted. Yes, my lord, you are right. That person did something. Do you still remember what that person looked like? I will find someone to draw him and arrest him. Yaman Runner followed the conversation. Anyway, that person was long gone. Where could they find him? Jia County magistrates pondered for a while and shook his head helplessly. I can't remember. I did not pay attention to him at that time. He seemed to be wearing rough hemp clothes. His trousers were rolled up and he was wearing a bamboo hat. I was even more confused when he was submerged. Didn't you see him clearly? Jia County magistrates had been thinking hard, but he found that he thought of some fishermen's clothes. They could not go everywhere to catch fishermen, not to mention that they were not from Sanshui County. They could only pin their hopes on the Yaman Runner. The Yaman Runner would not say anything. Yaman Runner shook his head and said, I didn't see clearly. I will ask the other brothers later. I am sure that it was definitely that fisherman who did something. Well, that's it. You can find a place to stay tonight. Come back early tomorrow morning. Jia County magistrates also wanted this sentence. He just wanted to push the blame to someone else. He gave another order and pretended to be tired. Yaman Runner nodded. My lord, you should rest early. We will come back early tomorrow morning. I will take my leave. Chapter 236. Light snow fell and the north wind blew. A fast horse was not fast enough. Yesterday a boat sailed on the water. Today it was hard to find money. In the morning, Jia County magistrates hurried to between the clouds and the water to find Han Wangzhu personally. Before he could open his mouth, Han Wangzhu said, Sir, are you in good health? I heard that you fell into the water yesterday and were saved by the little prince. You are very lucky. I'm fine. I slept for a night, but my head is still a little groggy. I choked yesterday. Today I have something to tell you. Jia County magistrates laughed and was about to tell him about the missing items. However, he didn't know how to open his mouth. The feeling of asking for money was different from the feeling of being given money. Han Wangzhu immediately said, Sir, it's fine if you have something to say. But you are not feeling well. Do you want to find some medicinal herbs? No. When I fell into the water yesterday, I dropped 2 items. They should have fallen into the water. Those 2 items were the ones you gave me the day before yesterday. It's not easy to find them at the moment, so I want to tell you so that the money won't be taken away. Jia County magistrates didn't want to say directly, give me 1 more item and I'll go get the money, so he could only find this excuse. Han Wangzhu smiled and said, Sir, you are right. I will send someone to inform them. Sir, please stay here for 1 more day. I will go back to get something else. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's not inconvenience, not at all. It's a good opportunity to taste the wine and dishes here. You can go now. I'll go back too. Jia County magistrates was relieved. He couldn't bear to be indifferent in front of others, so he got up and left. Han Wangzhu didn't dare to delay. Before he came here, his family had told him that the Zhang family and the Wang family were not simple. He had to pay attention to anything, even if it was a very small matter. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how to deal with it. Yesterday, the county magistrate fell into the water. Today, he came here to say that he lost 2 items. Were they really lost or not? Did it fall into the water or was it picked up by someone? Even if the person who picked it up didn't know what it was for, they still had to be on guard. As a result, Han Wangzhu found the people here and got someone to ride a fast horse over to inform them. Go and come back quickly. They were waiting here. Outside, the light snow was blown by the wind, hitting his face like a knife. The man brought 3 horses, but when he arrived at the place, his face was swept by the wind and snow, leaving behind 2 horses at the farmer's house. However, when he arrived at the place, he almost fainted when he received an even bigger piece of news. Yesterday afternoon, the money had been taken out by someone and left for the docks. As for where it went, he had no idea. The man drank a mouthful of hot soup, found something to cover his face, and changed 3 horses to rush back. When Han Wangzhu heard about this, he was also stunned. His family's 5,000 strings of coins and the Yuan family's 8,000 strings of coins were not a small amount, but it was taken away by someone just like that. Wasn't it the Jia County magistrates who asked for it? At least that was what he said. He said that it fell into the water and it was really lost. Or did he ask someone to go back to the county to take it away the night before? This was the only reasonable explanation. If someone else picked it up, they wouldn't know where to get the money. Could it be that the Jia County magistrates thought that the money was too little and asked for more? If that was the case, then he was too greedy. He didn't know whether it was good or bad to cooperate with such a person. Han Wangzhu held the 2 items that had been put together in his hands. After thinking for a while, he asked someone to go back and report this matter to the family head. At the same time, he got up and went to find the Jia County magistrates. Maybe he could find out something. The Jia County magistrates sat in a room on the 2nd floor of Between the Clouds and the Water. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening. He was waiting for Han Wangzhu to bring him new things so that he could withdraw the money. After waiting for an entire day, the more he waited, the more anxious he became. The dishes were placed on the table, but he didn't seem to want to eat. He only sat there and drank a mouthful of wine. Han Wangzhu still hadn't come. Just as he was about to go over to chat and ask secretly, Han Wangzhu finally came over. When Han Wangzhu saw the Jia County magistrates in the room, he was less suspicious of him. It seemed that he was in a hurry to get the money. If he really did withdraw at once, he wouldn't be in such a hurry. "Hey, you're here? How's the matter?" When the Jia County magistrates heard the sound of the door opening, he looked over and saw Han Wangzhu. His eyelids drooped as he asked if the token had been brought back. "Sir, look at this." Han Wangzhu put the 2 pieces of wood and jade together on the table. The Jia County magistrates was still in a daze. When he saw the 2 items, he immediately became happy. He touched the 2 items with his hands to separate them. He picked up the 2 pieces that he should have and said with a smile, "You're really trustworthy. Your master is indeed a trustworthy person. He sent mine back. I don't need these 2 halves. I'll keep them as backup. You guys are really amazing. When I fell into the water, you guys..." "No, that's not right. Why are these 2 halves here too? Could it be?" As the Jia County magistrate spoke, he finally realized something. Looking at the other 2 halves on the table, an idea suddenly appeared in his mind. Someone took the 2 halves that he had and went there to withdraw the money. "Sir, you guessed right. These 4 pieces were taken from the shop of Chongqing and Wufing in the county. They appeared there at noon yesterday." Han Wangzhu looked at the Jia County magistrates and said. The Jia County magistrates was stunned. Suddenly he shouted, "That's impossible. That's impossible. Before I fell into the water, I had been carrying them with me. When I woke up yesterday morning, I even looked at them. How could they be in the county within half a day? Are you suspecting that I asked someone to take the money and want to ask for another one from you? I'm surrounded by Yamen runners. There's no one else. How could the Yamen runners do such a thing for me? I don't want to live anymore. If the Yamen runners know that I took your money, it's definitely not me." "Sir, don't worry. You're right. You don't have anyone by your side who can help you, so you won't give your things to others. I suspect that when I was talking to you the night before yesterday, the Yamen runners standing outside the door overheard our conversation. Ordinary people might not be able to hear it, but your Yamen runners are not good people. Who knows if there's someone with good hearing among them?" When Han Wangzhu heard this, he felt that it made sense. What's more, the people he brought with him yesterday were also watching in the dark. They didn't see any Yamen runners leave, and they didn't see anyone else. The Jia County magistrates didn't see anyone else. If he saw anyone, it was the people from Zhangjia Zhuangzi restaurant. He couldn't be so close to the Zhang family to say such things and give the token away. The only possibility was that the Yamen runners outside the door overheard their conversation that day. When the county magistrate fell into the water, the 2 items were taken away and they quickly rode to the county to get the money. Han Wangzhu told the Jia County magistrates what he thought after that. The Jia County magistrate shook his head. "The people who saved me yesterday were the little prince's people. If the little prince was interested, he could have just asked for it. I wouldn't dare to say anything. It's not impossible for him to give it to the little prince. It must be someone else with good swimming skills who saw the 2 items fall from my body into the water and swam down to get them. In addition, the Yamen runners overheard it, so the Zhangjia Zhuangzi sent people to the county to get the money. If I had known, I wouldn't have gone to the pavilion. Why bother? Go and ask who went into the water yesterday. I think you'll know." "Sir, more than 100 people jumped into the water yesterday. In the end, Only the little prince's people were able to get you out. Can we ask them one by one? Do you think the Zhangjia Zhuangzi will let us ask them? Han Wangzhu shook his head and explained the situation yesterday. Seeing that the Jia County magistrates was at a loss, he said, Sir, the reason you wanted to go to the pavilion yesterday was not that simple. Everyone knows that fishing is not allowed to make such a loud noise. However, how long did the firecrackers go off yesterday? The room you ate in just happens to be facing the pavilion. Do you think it's such a coincidence? The more the Jia County magistrates listened and thought, the more he felt that things were not that simple. He was supposed to leave yesterday, but suddenly the firecrackers went off. He thought about the way the waiter seemed to be urging him to go and take a look. There was only one fishing boat on the river. How could it be so coincidental that it stopped at that place? Were there fish there? That's right. That person cast a spinning net. The water was so strong. Why didn't he hang the net? When the weather was cold, the fish would be at the bottom. Why didn't he use the net? He grew up in a fishing family. Who would be stupid enough to cast a net to catch fish in that place? This was all part of his plan. He must have planned it all out. Zhang Zhong, you've gone too far. I'll fight with you. The Jia County magistrates finally realized what was wrong. He stood up and was about to rush out while shouting. Han Wangzhu quickly held him back and used one hand to cover the Jia County magistrate's mouth. He couldn't let him shout like that. If others knew, they would only laugh at him. Besides, he was a 7th grade official. What if he asked? The moment he shouted, his momentum weakened. Sir, don't make a noise. Do you want the Zhang family to laugh at you? Sir, you don't have to worry about losing the money. Sir, please sit down first. Han Wangzhu tried to stop him while persuading him. At this time, the waiter outside the door came in and asked, Sir, what's wrong? Nothing. You can leave. I didn't ask you not to come in. Sir just wanted to find someone to drink with. He drank too much. Han Wangzhu couldn't say anything else. He asked the waiter to leave and tried to persuade him in a low voice. Sir, they'll be happier if you do this. When you've calmed down, we'll deal with them together. Money is a small matter. Don't worry about it. The Jia County magistrates pouted like a child. He sat on the chair and drank another cup of wine. He muttered, They're too much. When I took office, they didn't leave me any money. I didn't dare to touch Chongping warehouse. There's a lot of food there. It's not much money. If I touch a little, it won't be enough. If I touch too much, it'll be troublesome. The deputy county magistrates, the chief registrar, the deputy writing officer, and those yamen runners are not my people. When I go out for a walk, they follow me. When I say I want to lock someone up, the yamen runners object. I don't dare to make a decision. When my mother wants to eat some blood tofu, I have to help her kill pigs. When I'm here, I finally have some money. Before I can take it out, it's taken away by them. I almost drowned. Who's the county magistrate? The only thing I can do as the county magistrate is to stamp the documents that others bring to me. Brother, don't you think I'm a coward? Tell me. Coward? Then we. Sai Zhangjia Zhuangzi is hard to deal with. Han Wangzhu listened to the Jia County magistrate's drunken words and felt sympathy for him. Chapter 237. The sky is not cloudy, and the two mountains meet. Wild birds chirp in the forest, and the sound of the flute. The small village is named Qin, and the wind blows away. On the 22nd day of the 12th lunar month, it was the Lunar New Year. 20 bailiffs escorted the 3 carriages and the county magistrate to the farthest village in Sanshui County, Qin Village. It was a place where many people from the imperial court were trapped. County Magistrate Jia got out of the carriage and turned around to look at the 2 carts that were used to transport goods. He had paid for everything in the carts with his own money. There were 200 kilograms of vegetable oil, 20 dan of wheat flour, and 10 dan of rice. According to the rules set by County Magistrate Chang of Sanshui County, Qin Village was the furthest away from the county and was not close to other places. Some of the things in the village had to be traded bit by bit. It could be said that it was the poorest place, so Qin Village was the first stop. They would get closer and closer. When the people in the county sent the goods, it would be around 30. The only difference was that the goods sent by County Magistrate Chang were paid for by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. To be precise, they were paid for by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Since County Magistrate Jia wanted to earn money, he naturally had to fork out his own money. Oil, flour, and rice arrived first. There were still 2 carts behind them. The carts carrying the goods would arrive later. Those carts were filled with cloth and meat. All the goods were bought by Jia County magistrates from Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. The price was 20% higher than usual. The reason was very simple. It was almost the Lunar New Year, so why would the price not increase? After sending the goods to all the people in the county, they would need to spend 6,000 strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan earned 90% of the profits. They gave 30% to the farmers and the rest was their own money. It was not much compared to the docks, but it was very meaningful, especially for the farmers. Although they only got 30% of the net profit, it was 20% higher than usual. If they sold the things they raised at home, others would try their best to lower the price. Since the main family was in charge of selling things, the farmers did not have to worry. The main family would help them to lower the price. He clearly knew that the Jia County magistrates wouldn't dare to say anything to the Zhang family. After being bullied once, he finally behaved himself, at least for the time being. 6,000 strings of cash gone just like that. When the Jia County magistrates saw those things, he felt as if his heart was being dug out. He muttered and followed the yamen runner forward. Fortunately, there were many mountains, and the wind from other places was blocked by the mountains, so it was not that unbearable. It was noon, and the sky was still dark in the morning. Someone was playing a flute, making a whining sound. Usually the Jia County magistrates like to listen to this kind of flute sound, also known as a flute. It was low and rhythmic, and it was particularly harsh to the ears today. Old hunchback, don't let the child brag. Come and get your things. The county magistrate has sent something to the village. Yamen runner, who had been following beside the county magistrate, shouted loudly. His voice echoed in the mountains. When the flute sound stopped, dozens of people ran out in front of them, and some were leading donkeys. There was nothing better than donkeys on this kind of road. 2 days ago, I heard from the yamen runner that the magistrate would come personally to deliver the things. I didn't believe it at that time, so I tried to ask people to wait here today. I didn't expect that the magistrate would really come personally. Magistrate, I thank the magistrate on behalf of the villagers. Old hunchback Muramesa bowed in front of the Jia County magistrates and said with a trembling body. The Jia County magistrate's heart was bleeding, but he still had to show a caring expression on his face. He went forward and held the old man's hand. Uncle, I'm late. Quickly ask people to take the things back. There will be vegetables and meat in a while. Besides spinach and cucumber, the vegetables will be served. I hope everyone can have a good new year. Speaking of vegetables, the Jia County magistrates wanted to cry. Without these vegetables, how could he spend so much money? The poor people in Sanshui County were determined by the disaster this year. Basically, all of them were poor. Except for those who had their own zhuangzi and were too embarrassed to ask for these things, the others would not be so polite. He was the county magistrate. When it came to giving things, the people would think of the kindness of the imperial court. If it was someone else who gave things like this, maybe the people would not accept it. But were the people really poor? When the weather was not cold, they sold liangpi and Chinese crepes. When the little Luoshui wharf was built, there were more than 700 yamen runners working at the wharf. Except for 2 brothers or father and son, there was 1 yamen runner per family. There were at least 600 families who did not have to worry about being poor. He spent 6,000 strings of coins. After being an official for more than a month, he did not get any money in the county. When he got some money from other places, he had to spend almost half of it. When the Jia County magistrates saw the villagers happily putting things on the donkeys, he did not know whether to feel resentment or helplessness. A few days ago, the Jia County magistrates was robbed of 13,000 strings of coins by Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. After drinking too much, he complained. The Han family and Yuan family made up for the original amount. It was not more, not less. It was as if the money was not lost. But before the new year, the Zhang family did not give anything this year. The Jia County magistrates did not have the guts to not give a single copper coin. The people were used to the gifts given by the imperial court during the new year. It did not matter how much was given. As long as something was given, The people were happy and felt that the imperial court was still thinking of them. In the end, the county magistrates and the registrar made a list of people's names, addresses, and how much should be given. They also made it into a notice to let the people know. There were really people who were grateful and went to the yamen to kneel down and kowtow. The Jia County magistrates had no choice. He sent someone to ask which merchants in Sanshui County were willing to give the money. There were indeed people who were tempted, but because of the power of the Zhang family and Wang family, they did not dare to accept. They kept pushing back and forth. When the time came, the Jia County magistrates had no choice but to pay for it himself. He wanted to buy some from the streets, but the amount was too small. By the time he bought it, the new year would have passed. He could only look for Zhangjia Zhuangzi. There are still 7,000 strings of coins left. There shouldn't be anything else to spend, right? That's too ruthless. In one go, he took away 19,000 strings of coins from me. The Jia County magistrates looked at the happy expressions of the villagers and walked to the side alone to think about it. After thinking about it for a while, he said it out loud. Sir, you said that you would take out 19,000 strings of coins to give to the people? The Yamayaman runner, who was following him like a ghost, heard it and asked. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Go and help. Are you going to stand next to me and slack off? The Jia County magistrates was shocked. If he did not respond quickly enough, the yamen runners would spread the news and write a notice over there. Where would he find so much money? The village was almost done. They could not finish loading everything in one go. They still had to do it twice. The village chief asked someone to drive the donkey away. He went to the front of the Jia County magistrates and said, Sir, you are really a good official. With these things we won't have to worry about the new year. Sir, if you want to come to the village to drink water, please get on the donkey. The Jia County magistrates looked at the steep road and shook his head hard. Uncle, I will leave 2 yamen runners here to watch. You should go first. I have to go somewhere else to deliver things. Oh, then we will delay you. Sir, you are busy. We will leave first. The old man was easy to talk to. If he did not want to go, then he would not go. His legs trembled as he walked and he still had to run back and forth. Seeing that most of the villagers had left, the Jia County magistrates breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the road and thought about what the yamen runners said. He would lose a layer of skin if he went there once. Sir, should we take advantage of this time to check out the situation of the nearby families? The yamen runner suggested to the Jia County magistrates. The Jia County magistrates was most annoyed by the yamen runner now. He had no good way to get rid of him, so he could only bear with it. Okay, let's go back. As long as we see people, we will go to the 3rd family. The 3rd family? Okay, we will go as you say. The yamen runner agreed and helped the Jia County magistrates into the carriage. At the same time, he gave a look to the yamen runner next to him. The yamen runner immediately got on the horse and left. There were only 17 yamen runners left in the group. They wandered in another direction. After walking for an hour, they saw a small village. There was no Zhuangzi here. There were only 40 or so families living here. The surrounding area was all land. There were also some small mounds of soil planted with hemp that were not completely covered by the snow. The Jia County magistrates also knew about these things when he was at the fisherman's house. The hemp should be soaked in snow at the beginning of spring. Then they would be put into the river and used to make rope. The hemp rope made in this way was stronger than when it was soaked in water directly. People liked to use this type of hemp when they were weaving fishing nets. When the Jia County magistrates and the others arrived at the first family in the village, there was already a dog barking in the courtyard. It only stopped when its owner called it back to its nest. The Jia County magistrates naturally did not want to be bitten by a dog. He really went to the 3rd family in the village. In the courtyard surrounded by acacia trees and thorns, a woman was protecting a 1-year-old child and learning to walk. The child tried his best to raise his legs and tried to put them down. Finally, he fell down. Ha 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 ha. The Jia County magistrates saw the child's clumsy appearance and thought of the situation when his own child was learning to walk. He could not help but laugh. Sir, what are you laughing at? A yamen runner asked. Nothing. I just think that this child is interesting. It seems that this child is stronger than other children. The Jia County magistrate stopped laughing and said to the Yamen runner, "Sir, this child may be stronger than other children, but he is much weaker than the two little ancestors of the Zhang family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi. Those two, go in and ask, how are the children in their family doing?" The Jia County magistrates directly interrupted the Yamen runner. He hated the two Zhuangzi the most and felt uncomfortable when others mentioned them. The Yamen runner immediately said, "Sir, there is no need to ask about this place. The child inside is the Yamen runner Song Yang's son. Sir, you can go in. Song Yang's parents are also inside. His family is a little short of money. The Zhangzhe Zhuangzi gave him a few times and did not give enough to his family. Sir, why don't we go to another family?" "No need. We will go where I say." "Oh, so we met the Yamen runner's family. Okay, follow me in and have a look." The Jia County magistrates did not think much of it at first, but when he heard the last sentence, he was secretly happy. He made up his mind and walked in. Chapter 238. When the Jia County magistrates was about to enter the courtyard, the woman inside had already noticed him. She raised her head and took the child back into her arms. She said to the Jia County magistrates, "So it's you, County Magistrate. I'll go back and ask my in-laws to come out." While speaking, the woman didn't even look at the other Yamen runners. She carried the child into the courtyard. Immediately, an old man and an old woman came out. They looked very happy. They hurried to the entrance of the courtyard, opened the door, and said to the Jia County magistrates, "Sir, I didn't expect you to come. Please come in. Uncle Song, today we are— Oh, you are here too. The room can't fit all of you. Find a place for yourselves." The old man didn't wait for the Yamen runner to finish his words. When he faced the Jia County magistrates again, a smile appeared on his face again. "Sir, this is a joke. Our house is small and we don't have anything to serve you. Younger doesn't know how to behave. Sir, please keep an eye on him." The Jia County magistrates carefully looked at the courtyard. The ground was covered with snow, and only the road under his feet was paved with sand. He then looked at the house. The window paper had been used for a long time. It was yellow and black, and many of the roof tiles were broken. When he walked into the house, he only saw 2 bricks near the threshold. The rest of the house was covered with dirt. There were only 3 rooms in the house, 2 big and 1 small. The big room was probably used for living, and the small room was used as a kitchen. A burst of smoke came out of the kitchen, accompanied by a child's light cough. "Sir, please sit here." After entering a room, Song Yang's father rubbed the edge of the Kong with his sleeve and said to the Jia County magistrates with embarrassment. Usually, the Jia County magistrates would never sit here, but today he suddenly had an idea. He immediately walked over and sat down. He touched the mat and found that it was warm. It wasn't cold, so there should be a fire. He already understood what the Kong bed was. After removing the mats and mud bricks, the inside was not too complicated. It was nothing more than some mud or bricks piled up according to some order. It could be seen in any house in Sanshui County. However, the furnishings in the house and the clothes the family of 4 were wearing were not that good. Wasn't the life of the Yamen runners all managed by Zhangzhe Zhuangzi? Why was his family like this? Why did his family treat the other bailiffs that way? Jia County magistrates noticed this. After sitting down, he asked Song Yang's father, "Brother Song, your family seems to be a little short of money. Are the other Yamen runners in the same situation?" "Sigh. To be honest, only a dozen Yamen runners in Yang Er's family are like this. Children are immature and easily offend others." Song Fu sighed and said, "Oh, that's not right. Song Yang, this official knows about him. He's an honest and hard-working person. To think that his family would end up like this. Big brother Song, this can't go on. I have some money here. Big brother Song, take it and use it." Jia County magistrates finally found an opportunity. He took out a few pieces of broken silver and a string of more than 40 copper coins from his sleeve pocket. He pulled Song Fu's hand and stuffed it in. When he didn't want to eat, he had to go to some designated places to prepare. He always had more than 20 taels of silver with him. He didn't think it was heavy. This time he took out 12 taels of silver and 3 taels of silver. Song Fu took the money and returned it with trembling hands. Sir, you can't do this. How can I take this money? Sir, please take it back. Home. It doesn't matter. Brother Song, you have a good son. This money is nothing. Other yamen runners can take other people's money, but I can't give it away? Jia County magistrates certainly wouldn't take the money back. He glared at him and pretended to be unhappy. "Milord, you're really good. Milord, don't worry. When my son comes back, I'll tell him to listen to Milord's words and never slack off," Father Song said excitedly, his face red. Jia County magistrates was relieved when he saw Song Yang's father take the money. He looked at the house and said with a smile, "Brother Song, I didn't bring the money from the imperial capital with me today. Tomorrow, I will find a way to make life easier for Brother Song's family." These words meant that he was going to leave. He was afraid that the yamen runners outside would be anxious and find out something was wrong when they came. Song Fu hurriedly stood up to see him off. When Jia County magistrates came out, the yamen runners didn't even enter the yard. They just stood outside. Jia County magistrates felt a little relieved. "Sir, should we ask someone to take the things to the next house? Sir will be there at the same time." Yamen runner arranged the affairs of Jia County magistrates at this time. "Okay, to the next house." This time County Magistrate Jia didn't look angry at all. He agreed very naturally. Since he had made up his mind, he didn't mind wandering around the county these few days. He had spent the money, but he still needed to leave a good reputation. After a whole day, Jia County magistrates dragged his tired body back to the yamen. As soon as he entered the yamen, his face darkened. He said to the two yamen runners guarding here, "Where is Song Yang? Ask him to come here." "Humph! How dare he do such a thing?" One of the two yamen runners left in a daze. The other one went to Jia County magistrates and asked, "Sir, what happened to Song Yang? Did he do something wrong? I can guarantee that Brother Song usually does the best things. My house is not far from his. His house is the same as mine. We don't have many things. Life is a little difficult." Jia County magistrates was delighted. He felt that he had found another person he could rope in. When he was about to speak, he suddenly thought of something. He said with a sullen face, "It has nothing to do with you. I have my reasons for looking for him. He is too unreasonable." "Humph!" After saying this, Jia County magistrates walked towards the study. He felt a wave of fear. He felt that except for Song Yang, everyone around him could be Zhang Zhezhuangzi's spy. When the time came, who could be roped in? He had to ask Song Yang. From the situation of his house, it could be seen that Zhang Zhezhuangzi didn't take care of him like other people. Since there was a child in the house, it was reasonable to say that Zhang Zhezhuangzi should give him some benefits. It didn't take long before Song Yang came in from outside. It seemed that he had run all the way back. There was a lot of sweat on his forehead, and the hair beside his ears was wet. "Sir, are you looking for me?" Song Yang panted a few times and tried to steady his breathing. "Well, you're back. Sit down and drink some water." Jia County magistrate smiled and said to Song Yang very kindly. He poured a bowl of water for Song Yang and gestured for him to drink. Song Yang seemed to be a little nervous because he had never been treated like this before. He clasped his hands together and said in a low voice, "Sir, if you have something to say, please tell me quickly. I will do it right away." Jia County magistrates waved his hand and said, "Actually, it's nothing serious. But if you want to say that you have something to say, it's not a small matter. Let me ask you, why didn't you tell me about your family life? Are you afraid that I will harm you?" "Sir, you went to my house?" "Yes, sir. There is nothing in this humble one's home. You won't even be able to drink tea when you get there. What are you?" Song Yang had a vexed look on his face as he spoke in embarrassment. "There was water, and even plain water is delicious. I am satisfied to be able to drink such good water from a yamen servant's house. Song Yang, this happened because of you. Why didn't you tell me about your family's situation? If this official had known about it, how could I have let your family live in such a poor state? Come, here is some money. Take it first. I left some for your father. When I came back, I thought that since the new year is coming, that money is not enough to do anything." As Jia County magistrate spoke, he pulled out the drawer of his desk. There were 2 ingots of 10 taels of silver inside. Jia County magistrates took out the money without thinking and pushed it in front of Song Yang on the table. Song Yang looked at the money in a daze and said a little worriedly, Darren, this little one also knows about this little one's family matters. But how can I let Darren worry about it? Darren, I didn't expect that you have already left money for the family. Then this little one absolutely cannot accept this money. When it's almost 30 years old, this little one may be able to bring some things home. You expect Zhangzhe Zhuangzi to give it to you? Look at the other Yamen servants and then look at you. That Zhangzhe Zhuangzi clearly doesn't like your family. If I didn't know about this matter, it would have been fine. But since I saw it, I can't just ignore it. Take it, I order you to take it. As long as you do well in the Yamen in the future, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. Jia County magistrates looked at Song Yang's expression and was very satisfied with the effect of the money he took out. He said loudly and forced the money into Song Yang's arms. Song Yang covered the place where the silver was placed with his hand and said emotionally, My lord, you are so kind to me. If my lord needs anything in the future, I am willing to do my best. This is great. I don't have to worry about not having anything during the new year. My lord, there are actually some people like me. Really? And other people's lives aren't good? Didn't Zhangzhe Zhuangzi give you anything? Jia County magistrates pretended to be surprised and asked. They did, but it was very little. Others gave 1 dan of grain, but when it came to me and those people, it became less than 1 dan. We are all Yamen servants, so why do they get more? I just had a child not long ago. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't know how to do other work, I really don't want to continue being a Yamen servant. Song Yang's face showed a sad expression. As he spoke, he lowered his head. It seemed that he was really unconvinced. Jia County magistrates wanted this. He smiled, stood up, and patted Song Yang's shoulder. He said, Song Yang, I have high hopes for you. In the future, you will definitely be better than others. Oh, there are other people like your family? In that case, let's go. Follow me to the storeroom at the back. You tell me how many people you have. I will give you 30 taels each. You can add 10 more. Today's harvest is a little bad. I have decided to let you people who only know how to work and are not valued have a good new year. How much do you need? Let me think. Oh, sir, there aren't too many people. In total, there are only 33 people. Compared to the other 600 people, it really can't be less. Song Yang had heard Jia County magistrate's words, so he began to calculate. In the end, he gave a number 33 people. Jia County magistrates didn't think that it was too little. 33 people, including Song Yang himself, would be 34 people. It would only cost him a little more than 1,000 strings of money. As long as he could make these people listen to him, he wouldn't mind taking more money. It was better than having spies around him all the time. Song Yang was so excited that he didn't know which leg to take. He kept saying, Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. When they arrived at the place where the money was kept, Jia County magistrates was a little embarrassed. With so much money, it was impossible to let Song Yang carry it out alone. First of all, it was too heavy. Second of all, he had to personally hand it out. Therefore, he said to Song Yang, Go and find those 33 people. Go and find those 33 people. Remember, when you come, don't tell them what's going on. Also, watch those people carefully. If any of them have a good relationship with the Zhang family, don't call them over. Do you understand? Understood. This lowly one understands. This lowly one has been waiting for this day for a very long time. Sir, you can rest assured that this lowly one will definitely find someone as good as this lowly one said. But sir, where did you get so much money? What if someone finds out and makes trouble for you? At this time, Song Yang showed his clever side. He assured Jia County magistrates and said worriedly. Jia County magistrates was even happier now. Song Yang didn't know where his money came from. This meant that Song Yang wasn't trusted by Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. In this way, he could finally find some useful people around him. As for who was reliable or not, he would find out after trying some things. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrate said to Song Yang, You don't have to worry about the money. Just find those people. Don't worry. After the new year, I will make you a small leader. Humph, those people want to cheat me. I won't let them get away with it. Yes, I understand. Thank you for your trust. I will go find them now. Sir, please wait for a moment. Song Yang said excitedly. He turned around and ran out of the yard. Looking at Song Yang's leaving figure, Jia County magistrates was not so relieved. He felt that he had to test a few more times. Otherwise, if one of them was secretly left behind by the Zhang family, it would implicate too many people. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates took out the money that he should use. In order not to be discovered by the other yamen runners, he didn't take out cloth this time. He only chose some small pieces of silver and copper coins. It was easy to carry around and wouldn't be seen by others. After a while, Songyang came back first. He was the only one who entered this place. He said to Jia County magistrates, "Sir, I didn't find everyone. I only found 20 people. Should I let them come in first? Or should I help you take the things out?" "There's no need to go out. Let them all in. I don't doubt the people I use." Jia County magistrates showed generosity this time. He knew how to buy people's hearts. It was just that he didn't have the opportunity before. Now that he found a breakthrough, how could he be willing to give it up? Songyang stared at Jia County magistrates for a while. He nodded seriously, turned around and ran out. When he came back again, 20 yamen runners who looked very honest were following behind him. Jia County magistrates was even more calculative. It seemed that Zhangzhe Zhuangzi liked those who were slick. He didn't treat honest people so well, especially the yamen runner whose surname was Tang. It turned out that he was a hooligan. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi would only use people like this. "Sir." Under the lead of Song Yang, the 20 yamen runners saluted and greeted him at the same time. Their voices were loud and clear. Good. All of you are good. I didn't see wrong." When County Magistrate Jia heard the orderly voices, he was happy. They were real yamen runners, not some random hooligans. "Come here and let me take a good look at you. It's a pity that such capable people like you are being ostracized in the yamen. Don't worry. As long as I'm here in the future, I don't think I'll let you worry about your family. Come one by one. I'll give you money for the new year." Jia County magistrates looked at the 21 yamen runners carefully. The more he looked, the more he felt that this was a good idea. He said a few more words, put the money in front of them and greeted them. "Sir, are you really going to give us money?" "My lord, how are we supposed to repay you for what you've done?" One yamen runner was so excited that he cried when he saw the money on the ground and heard what Jia County magistrates said. Jia County magistrates wanted to see this result, so he was also excited. He deliberately put on a calm expression and said seriously, "You are all yamen runners in the yamen. How can I not take care of you? How can a yamen runner who is always worried about his family's life do a good job? I am the county magistrate of Sanshui County. It is my duty to let the people under my jurisdiction live a good life. How can I repay you? As long as you work hard in the future, it will be the best reward for me." "My lord, I only know now that my lord is a good official. In the past, when I heard others say that my lord came here to do bad things, I really believed it. My lord, I'm sorry. My lord, don't worry, I won't believe what others say in the future. If anyone dares to say it again, I'll let them know how powerful I am." At this time, the other yamen runner also started crying. No one knew why he was crying. Not only were his eyes red, but his face was also red. He looked like he was in great pain. Jia County magistrates was happy. When he heard what the yamen runner said, he quickly said, "No, I don't care what others say. Don't argue with others on this matter. After a long time, they will understand my painstaking efforts. Do you remember?" He was afraid that if those people really said something, the 21 yamen runners in front of him would go over and explain and tell others that he was the one who gave the money. Then these 21 yamen runners would probably leave the yamen and be followed by people at all times. Song Yang was the first to promise, "Sir, don't worry. I will listen to you. I will do whatever you say. Even if others say bad things about you, I will not make trouble." With one yamen runner taking the lead, the other yamen runners also promised, "Yes, that's how it should be. Come over one by one. I will give you the money." Jia County magistrates was temporarily relieved. He picked up some copper coins and silver pieces and gave them to the yamen runners one by one. Every yamen runner who received the money was trembling. Some of them wanted to say something, but they couldn't and looked like they were about to cry. After the money was given out and they put it away, Jia County magistrates felt relieved. He thought that it was time to test them, so he said, "Tomorrow I will go to Linha village in the county to take a look and send some rice and other things there. Tomorrow you will go over there to patrol. Remember, if you meet other Yamen runners, don't let them know. I always feel that Yamen runner came from a gangster background and can't achieve great things. Songyang, you also have an important thing to do tomorrow. Don't be on duty. No matter what other people do, you have to go to Shaoluoshui Pier and see if there are any ships docked there. Also, you have to write down the goods on them. Songyang performed the best among the Yamen runners. When he heard Jia County Magistrate's words, he immediately answered, "As you command, sir." The other Yamen runners also answered, but this time they were not as orderly as before. This made Jia County Magistrates understand that this was not practiced in advance. Then it's done. You can leave. Remember to go home quickly and ask your family to buy some things for the new year. Jia County Magistrates waved his hand and let the Yamen runners leave. After the Yamen runners left, Jia County Magistrates paced back and forth in the courtyard alone. From time to time, he recalled the expressions of those Yamen runners just now. He wanted to know which was fake and which was real. In the end, he found that all the Yamen runners' eyes were red. Some of them were even gnashing their teeth when they talked about Zhangjie Zhuangzi. After pacing back and forth for half an hour, Jia County Magistrates did not find anything wrong with any of the Yamen runners. However, he was still worried. He went back to the backyard and found his wife. Tomorrow, find 2 of our family's servants and go to Shaoluoshui Pier to see what kind of ships are coming, what goods are on them, and how much they cost. Remember, you have to change your clothes, change your hairstyle, and paint your face. Master, did something happen? If there is danger, why don't we resign from this position and leave this place as soon as possible? I have been worried that this is not a place we can control. When Jia County Magistrate's wife heard his arrangement, the first thing that came to her mind was that there was trouble, or even danger to her life. What do women know? Where is the danger? No one can control your husband. When there is an opportunity, I will show them what I am capable of. Remember, don't make any mistakes. Jia County Magistrates did not want to hear such words the most, especially now that he felt that he had people he could use. How could he leave? Wouldn't he be laughed at by those who also wanted to fight for the position but did not succeed? Master, you are right. You are the most capable. I will arrange it now. Master, you should rest early too. Jia County Magistrate's wife immediately knew what to say. She followed his meaning and turned to leave quietly. Jia County Magistrates was happy because of what had happened today. With his wife's obedience, he said to her who had not gone far, "I will go to your place tonight. You can sleep there." Chapter 239. Another snow fell. The children's games did not disappear because of the change of seasons. Without too many worries, they could always find something to make them happy. At least the children of the Zhang family and the Wang family were like this. When the first children opened the door in the morning and saw the snow outside that was up to their calves, what the children had to do was to carefully raise their feet and put them down again, leaving their own footprints on the white snow. The farmers who had nothing to do in the winter were busy clearing the snow. Smoke drifted in the sky above Zhuangzi, showing the strength of the Zhang family and the Wang family to other Zhuangzi. Breakfast was not something that everyone could eat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also woke up early. The 2 of them did not need to go to school, so they ate a few meat buns and drank a bowl of goat's milk. Then they took Pomegranate and the others out to find fun things to do. Pomegranate no longer made the dough and handed it over to others. She planned to teach this technique to the shops in the capital at the beginning of spring. The planting of fungus and tremella also stopped. Pomegranate really did not know how to control the temperature in winter. Cherries also stopped hatching poultry. During this season, the chickens and ducklings would freeze to death and be placed in the house. There was not enough space, so Xiaohong also handed over the feeding of the chickens to others. Erniu and Huzi were idle at home, so they just happened to follow along. The 7 of them went straight to the fields. There was more straw in the fields than other places. In the autumn, they collected a lot of straw outside. Some of it was used for the fire, and some of it was directly pressed into the fields in the spring. This year, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan planned to adjust the planting process again. The stubble that was left behind after the rice was cut would not be dug up. After the water was poured into the field, the rice seedlings would be directly thrown out. The original rice straw would also be pressed into the water. According to Zhang Xiaobao, this would have the effect of covering the ground and suffocating the other weeds. This method could save a lot of effort. The straw itself contained the nutrients that the rice seedlings needed. The two of them didn't know how effective it was, so they decided to take a portion and try it out first. When the other portion was not watered, they would first update it, flatten it, and then water it. The rest would be done as they did last year. When the time came, they would use whichever method had the best effect. Wang Wan had also set aside half a mu of land for her, and Zhang Xiaobao to carefully take care of it. They would usually take care of it diligently and apply some of the methods they could think of as an experimental field. As for whether it would be successful or not, it was yet to be verified. According to the theory of their ancestors, the two of them wanted to find a plant in the field that had no males and could not develop. Then they would choose a more plump one to crossbreed. Wang Wan thought of this when she was lying in the snow. She turned around and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think the hybrid rice will succeed? Why do I feel that our theory is somewhat incomplete? If we don't succeed, we will have worked for nothing for a year." So what if we worked for nothing for a year? We worked for nothing for so many years. You have to believe in yourself. Do you know what a male sterile rice looks like? I think all the rice seedlings look the same. It's a bit difficult. Zhang Xiaobao was confident and determined, but he didn't know how to distinguish them. This was the most difficult part. Wang Wan shook her head like a rattle drum. She had never learned this before. Occasionally, she would take a look at other people's theories, but she wasn't interested. She guessed and said, "Does sterility mean that it doesn't grow when other rice seedlings have already grown? There are many that don't grow. Which one is male and which one is female? It's not like animals. You can tell at a glance. If it really doesn't work, you can try it one by one. We have a lot of people, so we can mobilize the power of the masses. As long as it doesn't grow, we can get them all and teach them our advanced theory. The power of the masses is the greatest. Take pomegranate, for example. Didn't she say that she would continue to cultivate mushrooms when the weather was warm? It's still pine mushrooms. As long as we persevere, we might be able to get other mushrooms. It's the kind that is raised with sawdust. It's very cheap, more than 1 yuan per kilogram." Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to pass on his confidence to others. Wang Wan knew that he was shirking his responsibility. She didn't know how many people would be driven crazy by this theory when the time came. "I think you are gloating. Pomegranate is a meritorious person. The fungus can be a key public relations tool. Jia County magistrates ate well. I heard that he took more than half of the 1 kilogram of fungus given to him and sent it to Beijing. I don't know who he sent it to. Yes, there is such a thing. Give it to him. Send him another 1 kilogram tomorrow and let him continue to give it to us. After a few times, we will cut off the fungus supply. Let's see if the person who is used to eating it will take the initiative to ask him for more. If he doesn't have any left, we will take over. We are not afraid that they will be greedy, but we are afraid that there will be no way to give it to them." Zhang Xiaobao had put a lot of effort into this matter. He wanted to build a huge network of connections and cooperate with Wang Wan to create a big family. Wang Wan nodded, looked at the 5 people around her, and said to Zhang Xiaobao that Jia County magistrates is too greedy. He still doesn't know how to restrain himself after being taught a lesson twice. Didn't the person who rushed over last night say that the bailiffs we arranged have already been bought over according to our original plan? This is called persistence. If only he knew how to farm. We can give the task of hybrid rice to him. Speaking of the fungus, I suddenly thought of something. How do you think ginseng should be planted? If you plant more than 100 mu of ginseng, you will be rich and eat it like radishes. Zhang Xiaobao's thoughts jumped. Wang Wan didn't even dare to think about planting ginseng. Don't think about it. We don't even know what ginseng seeds look like. Yes, it's cold now. It's suitable for nourishment. Go to the pharmacy to buy some ginseng and stew it for the week. Cut it into slices and put in less at a time. Wild ginseng is not like garden ginseng. It's easy to eat the whole thing. I found that my grandfather's health is not good these days. Come with me later. It's tiring to be young. Later we will distill the wine and buy live deer. I want to make wine for my grandfather, especially the deer blood. Buy a few more and directly chop the antlers at the beginning of spring. We need the antler blood. What else can be used to make wine? Help me think about it. I don't want to lose my family because of a small illness before I grow up. Kicking the snow in front of him, Zhang Xiaobao also pondered. In the past, he only wanted to provide nutrition to his family. Now, it seemed that he had to get some Chinese medicine to warm up, especially for rheumatism. The weather was cold. In the past, he didn't sleep on the Kong bed. When he was tired, he fell down to sleep. Now that he was old, his legs couldn't keep up. He had to find a way to warm up. It's a pity that we don't have a good prescription. In the past, Grandpa Director also made some Chinese medicine to drink or brew. There are many kinds of herbs that I don't remember. I think there are some mulberry tree roots, leaves and branches. This is the simplest. I don't know the effects. I spend money to buy prescriptions from the people. Let's go to your house for lunch today. Okay, what do you want to eat? Wang Wan also wanted to go home and have a look. She stayed at Zhang Xiaobao's place all day. Usually, when she visited her family, it was them who came over. Occasionally, she would go out with Zhang Xiaobao to play, but it was just around at home. When Wang Wan asked, Zhang Xiaobao stopped and looked up at the sky. After thinking for a while, he said to the person beside him, Huzi, go to other Zhuangzi and see if there's anyone willing to sell a black dog. Buy one and kill it. We'll go to Cuckoo's house for lunch. Huzi obeyed the order and left. Zhang Xiaobao then instructed Yingtao, take out some of the dried vegetables that we specially dried in the sun during autumn. You have to dry them in the shade. Soak some soybeans and prepare coriander as well. Cherries also left. Zhang Xiaobao then instructed Pomegranate, I made 13 spices. There's a paper bag with the word thick written on it. Go and get 2 bags. Remember to bring some orange peel. Go to Cuckoo's house first and ask them to cook it with our chili bean sauce. Add a few more scallions. Remember to not add soy sauce. Little young master, I'll go now. Pomegranate knew that the little young master was good at cooking. Thinking that there would be good food for lunch, she shouted happily and ran away. Be careful, don't fall. Wang Wan looked at Pomegranate's lively appearance and shouted behind her. Seeing that Pomegranate didn't hear her at all, she shook her head. Hey, you have no rules at all. Xiaohong pursed her lips and smiled. She liked to follow the little young master and the little young lady. Unlike other people who would be whipped if they made a small mistake, they had to follow the rules only in front of outsiders. Usually they could do whatever they wanted. Wang Wan had eaten dog meat twice before. She heard that it was not good for women to eat dog meat. When she ate it at first, she always felt that the taste was a little bit fishy. She touched Zhang Xiaobao and asked, is dog meat fishy? Yes, fishy. If it's not cooked well, it can't be eaten at all. You can rest assured that I will cook it. At this time, I will use cumin that others don't like. At noon, I will make 2 kinds of dipping sauce for you. One is sauce and the other is salt and pepper. It's a pity that I don't have chili. Where can I get some? Mountain chili seedlings are not suitable for that. Zhang Xiaobao thought of a special dish to go with the dog meat pot. Generally, when eating dog meat pot in the northern area, people would ask before entering the restaurant. You can get it by going to sea. Ask someone to ask if there are any people who go to Guangzhou by sea now. See if they bring back any souvenirs. What if there are chili in the souvenirs? What are you talking about? Do you have to use chili? When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao mention chili, she was a little hungry. When she ate chili before, she didn't care and didn't even want to eat it. Now she wanted to eat it, but there was none. Without one thing, it would be less delicious. Besides, chili could resist the moisture. Zhang Xiaobao gestured with his hands. Spicy fish, especially in a restaurant owned by North Koreans. When eating dog meat, ask if there is spicy fish. If there is, eat it. If there isn't, absolutely not eat it. If it is not an authentic North Korean dog meat restaurant, I will make that sauce. The scallions in it are the most delicious. I put that sauce when eating spicy cabbage. The taste, let's not talk about it. You can't eat it. What you said makes me hungry. Let's go over there to play and build a house. Wang Wan was swallowed by Zhang Xiaobao's words. Even if she had just eaten, she still wanted to eat it. Well, when the children have a break at noon, we can let them play. Zhang Xiaobao made himself not think about food. He pulled Wang Wan and ran forward. With a plop, 2 human figures appeared on the snow. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.